From a young age, Zhuo had always dreamed of building her own family, a big, happy, and well-established one. When the day came to meet Hao Ming's family, she didn't want to lose face, so she hired two strangers to pretend to be her parents. She even prepared a script and made them memorize it to make sure everything went smoothly without a hitch. Seeing the parents chatting fluently, Zhuo was secretly pleased, believing her perfect plan was about to succeed. Unexpectedly, Yulan, Hao Ming's mother, just sat there calmly, drinking her tea. After hearing what the in-laws said, she spoke up, saying she had tried searching online but couldn't find anyone of their supposed caliber. Zhuo was stunned by Yulan's words because she believed her plan was flawless. She suddenly remembered that she had lied before, saying her parents were famous scientists and had even prepared some documents. Luckily, she could use them now. Yulan took the phone Zhuo offered and carefully examined the documents. The fake father quickly added that he didn't do research for fame because true scientists need to have a spirit of silent and selfless dedication. The fake father even proactively took out the most famous books in the field, saying they were a gift for the two of them. But ironically, one of them didn't have the author's signature. Yulan's suspicion decreased by half, but she still wanted to test them further. She said she'd also like to ask for a signature and ask the in-law to sign it for her. When she saw him sign an exact replica of the signature, she didn't expose them right there. After the meeting, while walking with Zhuo Yulan still didn't trust this future daughter-in-law. She believed that Zhuo was lying to her, so she used words to probe, saying that what is real cannot be fake, and what is fake cannot be real. Zhuo remained calm. She proactively apologized and said that ever since she was little, she had wanted a happy family, but her parents' relationship wasn't harmonious, so she could only act strong in front of others. Zhuo looked at her fake parents and thought to herself that as long as she could get through this hurdle, she would definitely marry into a wealthy family. The next day at work, Siwei saw that the script Zhuo wrote was terrible and was furious, scolding her in front of everyone. She even sarcastically said that Zhuo shouldn't think she could rest easy just because she was dating a rich young master. After learning about this, Hao Ming offered to help Zhuo. She paused for a few seconds when she heard her boyfriend say that he had his eyes and ears around her, but still decided to rely on his power. Zhuo took the opportunity to ask her boyfriend what his parents thought of her after yesterday's meeting. Hao Ming didn't answer directly. He always thought his parents' opinions didn't align with his own thinking. After saying that, he gave her a kiss. The truth is, the meeting between Zhuo and Hao Ming was intentionally arranged by Zhuo, and she succeeded in attracting the attention of this young master. Initially, Zhuo had to put in a lot of effort to invite Hao Ming to participate in an exclusive interview for her program. When he received the gift from Zhuo, Hao Ming was very impressed. He thought that her being able to find the gardening kit he loved in such a short time showed that she had really put in a lot of effort. Through a few conversations, he found this girl extremely interesting. When she got home, Zhuo realized that the person she needed to interview was a tough case, but for a better life, she knew she needed to try her best. She couldn't believe she was so unlucky. Seeing that Zhuo had a cold, Siwei pretended to care and told her to take a day off to recover. Zhuo was planning to do so, but unexpectedly received a message from Hao Ming. When she rushed to his company, she saw him highly focused in a meeting. Zhuo suddenly froze. She felt that his serious demeanor was very special. Hao Ming was having a very serious meeting, but when he turned around, he caught sight of the interesting girl named Zhuo sitting obediently in the back, making him unable to take his eyes off her. The two just looked at each other like that, their eyes meeting for a moment. During the meeting, Hao Ming noticed that Zhuo seemed cold, so he proactively told the staff to turn off the air conditioning. Zhuo didn't even notice this detail, but the other employees present at the meeting were angry but didn't dare to speak up. They felt that this president had been a bit strange lately. Everyone was so hot they were sweating buckets but didn't dare to say a word. In fact, Hao Ming himself was so hot that he had to constantly wipe away sweat. He hurriedly finished speaking and ended the meeting. He walked over to Zhuo and was about to say something when he realized she was sitting motionless, looking unwell. Hearing Hao Ming's call, Zhuo just looked up and fainted. Hao Ming was extremely panicked and rushed her to the hospital. When she woke up, Zhuo suddenly realized that although Hao Ming looked cold and unapproachable, he was extremely thoughtful and meticulous when taking care of others. He even carefully opened the water bottle and put a bandage on her wound for her. And just like that, Zhuo and Hao Ming got together. Hao Ming happily brought his beloved girlfriend to meet his mother, Yulan. Because he had something urgent, he had to leave quickly, leaving his girlfriend alone there. Initially, Zhuo was very happy to meet her future mother-in-law. She tried to maintain a humble and calm attitude, appearing to be a gentle person. However, Yulan could tell, just by looking at her clothes and hairstyle, that this girl's family background was definitely not good. The other wealthy ladies didn't like Zhuo Mian either. They even subtly mocked her, saying she was just a pretty but stupid puppy. From a maid, Zhuo Mian accidentally overheard that wealthy families often pay a lot of attention to investing in their hair, which is why their hair always looks soft, smooth, and never frizzy. Zhuo Mian remembered this. Back at the company, she saw that her superiors were also very dissatisfied with her. Zhuo Mian could barely take it anymore. Just at that moment, Yulan invited her to afternoon tea. Zhuo Mian had specially spent a lot of money to get her hair done and ordered an expensive, renowned tea. Unexpectedly, this future mother-in-law had a very strong prejudice against her. She even brought another girl with her, clearly wanting to show her dissatisfaction outright. Zhuo Mian originally came from a broken family and had been ridiculed by her friends since childhood, calling her an uneducated wild child. When Yulan said that she was someone who only knew how to endure and didn't dare to get angry, Zhuo Mian didn't want to pretend anymore and confronted the woman in front of her directly. Zhuo Mian felt that she could become the person she wanted to be. Yulan had never met a girl who was so rude to her before. This was the first time she had met someone who dared to confront her head-on. As for Hao Ming, he and his father always supported each other in their work and often discussed future directions. Hao Ming's father believed that his son had just entered the industry, and if he didn't start from the bottom, he would never understand the core of the industry, so he still needed to put in a lot of effort to train. Zhuo Mian suddenly felt that having a rich boyfriend was sometimes really convenient. The artistic creator she had been trying to interview for a long time wouldn't agree, but as soon as they heard her boyfriend's name, they proactively agreed to be interviewed. While busy with work, Zhuo Mian received a call from Yulan, who said they were going to buy a wedding house, so she rushed over. In reality, Yulan was using the excuse of buying a house to test her future daughter-in-law, wanting her to use her professional knowledge to choose the most suitable one. Just as Zhuo Mian was struggling, Hao Ming appeared. Without a word, he pulled her away. Zhuo Mian curiously asked Hao Ming why he liked a flower with thorns. He explained that the flower he liked contained a lot of strength and would only bloom for one single flower in its entire life. Zhuo Mian watched her boyfriend carefully cook for her, and although she felt very happy, every word he said seemed like a judgment on her. She felt that the cake in her hand, although very delicious, was difficult to swallow, as if there was a fishbone stuck in her throat. She wondered if her boyfriend knew her true identity later on. Would he still treat her the same way he does now? Zhuo Mian longed to overcome the barriers of social status, and, more importantly, wanted a future with her boyfriend, so she spared no effort in trying to please her future mother-in-law. From the bottom of her heart, Yulan believed that Zhuo Mian's identity was fake. She was always carefully scrutinizing her, trying to find a flaw, and felt that this girl was very clever and difficult to deal with. While Yulan was taking a walk with her close friends, she maintained a proud appearance and didn't say a word. Zhuo Mian overheard the friends beside her future mother-in-law discussing that Yulan didn't like the cashmere scarf. They complained that people like them only used expensive Italian designer brands, while this scarf had dull colors and couldn't be matched with any clothes. In a tight spot, Zhuo Mian had no choice but to ask the maid in the house for more information, but unexpectedly, the homeowner had already told the maid not to say a word. However, Zhuo Mian didn't ask in vain. She learned that Yulan had been dissatisfied with all of her son's previous girlfriends. She would often discuss them with her group of friends, and after hearing their opinions, she would find ways to drive those girls away. To please her future mother-in-law, when the ladies were playing ball, Zhuo Mian scurried around picking up the balls, unaware that they were discussing her son. When CEO Chu appeared, Yulan's friends immediately flocked around her, causing Yulan to lose face. Although she tried to hide it, Zhuo Mian still sensed her future mother-in-law's unhappiness. Zhuo Mian learned from Coach Su that CEO Chu loved kunku opera, especially the long-sleeve dance. Zhuo Mian followed CEO Chu and saw her practicing diligently. Having some basic knowledge since childhood, she decided to take this opportunity to sign up for a class specializing in long-sleeve dance. Zhuo Mian went straight to the point, focusing only on learning this one type of dance and asking the teacher to constantly instruct her. After a long period of perseverance, she finally had a chance to meet CEO Chu. Chu saw that this young girl was practicing very hard, and even though she was just starting, she was doing very well, so she couldn't help but offer to invite her to participate in the kunku opera competition she was organizing. Midway through, Chu received a phone call, and it seemed she was looking for a good school for her child but was unsuccessful. When she turned back to talk to Zhuo Mian, she learned that she was a program host and also heard her say that the program plan had changed and that they were planning to invite many intellectual women with their own unique characteristics to be interviewed. Hearing this, Chu immediately understood that this girl's goal was to target her, so she turned around and left. Zhuo Mian secretly met with Coach Su and asked some more questions, learning that there were also discords among the elite ladies. She immediately returned to the company, proposing a plan to invite famous women to participate in a new program, both to expand the program's reputation and to increase revenue for the company. After completing the plan, Zhuo Mian met with Chu Li and explained that if she agreed to participate in the interview, it would help her child's application to school, and it would also be a great opportunity to promote Kunko Opera. Chu Li realized that this girl had a very clever mind, knowing how to connect what she wanted with the benefits of others to maximize effectiveness. Therefore, she decided to participate in this program. Zhuo Mian had strived to turn a small opportunity into a big success, cleverly connecting these important figures together, turning them into her powerful pawns. When Yulan heard Zhuo Mian say that she had reserved a spot in the program for her close friend, and cleverly took credit for her as well, she felt that this girl was very thoughtful and had vision. This was the first time she proactively told Zhuo Mian to sit next to her. Zhuo Mian's program had a very high viewership rating and was fully supported by the company's leadership. Siwei and Zhuo Mian were originally competitors, but now Zhuo Mian had created a new program, winning a bigger slice of the pie in the company. Siwei felt that Zhuo Mian was too fake and began to suspect her background. Zhuo Mian was very happy to see her boyfriend Hao Ming pick her up and invited him to choose a dish together. In fact, Zhuo Mian had always dreamed of becoming a news anchor. Hearing this, Hao Ming encouraged her to work hard to make it happen if that was what she wanted. Zhuo Mian deeply understood that her background and her boyfriend's were too different, and he would never understand the hardships she had gone through. While at Hao Ming's house, Zhuo Mian suddenly saw her real father appear on TV. She had to suppress the complex emotions that were surging in her heart. When her future father-in-law asked if she was from Shaanxi, Zhuo Mian frankly admitted it, and added that her maternal grandmother was also from there. Meanwhile, Xiaolin was harassed by a pervert at work. Unable to tolerate it any longer, she fought back, but unexpectedly, she was taken to the police station. Her boyfriend came to the station to bail her out, but as soon as they got home, his parents criticized her endlessly. Their words poured out like machine gun fire, leaving her no chance to interject. Xiaolin felt that her boyfriend's parents only talked about a boyfriend in the banking industry from beginning to end, completely disregarding whether she agreed or not. Disappointed in her weak boyfriend, Xiaolin decisively broke up with him and went to find Zhuo Mian, whom she still considered her younger sister. Seeing Hao Ming and Zhuo Mian looking so happy together, she immediately knew that their relationship was no ordinary one. But she didn't expect her younger sister to tell her boyfriend that she wasn't her biological sister. Hearing those words, it would be a lie to say she wasn't hurt. Zhuo Mian told Xiaolin directly that she had the surname Su, after her maternal grandmother, in her maternal grandmother's household registration. They had never considered her family. Xiaolin didn't expect her younger sister to have such a big prejudice against her. If she had known this, she wouldn't have come. Zhuo Mian arranged for Xiaolin to stay at a hotel and made it clear that she didn't welcome her sister's presence. If she stayed for a few days and then left, she would consider herself to have fulfilled her duty as a host. She hoped her sister would be sensible and leave, as she had no obligation to take care of a sister who was not related by blood. Xiaolin was extremely shocked to hear these words, thinking to herself that perhaps her younger sister had hooked up with a rich boyfriend and wanted to quickly sever ties with this poor relative. From childhood, Zhuo Mian always felt that those people weren't close to her at all. Her father never even bothered to look at her once. When she was little, there was once a gas leak that caused both sisters to faint, but her father chose to save her older sister first. In that moment, she realized she was dispensable. That year, her father kept Zhuo Mian only because her maternal grandmother had gone to his house, crying and making a scene. He did out of pride, fearing that the neighbors would laugh at him, so he reluctantly adopted her. Although her stepmother didn't treat her badly, Zhuo Mian could feel that she still cared more about her biological child. Because she wasn't her own daughter, she was sometimes unconsciously forgotten. Throughout her childhood, Zhuo Mian never had a birthday party. Every birthday, only her maternal grandmother would call to ask how she was doing, while the others never cared about her. When she was in school, Zhuo Mian studied very well, but her father used the excuse of the family's financial difficulties to prevent her from taking the college entrance exam, and even gave all the money in the house to her older sister. Zhuo Mian really couldn't stand it anymore. She felt that her father didn't love her at all. The young Zhuo Mian couldn't understand what she had done wrong that no one loved her, except for her maternal grandmother. The slap from her father's hand made Zhuo Mian feel that she had truly been abandoned by her relatives. She ran home to find her maternal grandmother. In fact, her maternal grandmother also knew that her granddaughter had suffered a lot. And just like that, the two grandmothers and granddaughters relied on each other to live through many years. Even when she grew up, Zhuo Mian didn't want to go back to that house full of pain. Zhuo Mian hailed a taxi, lost in a stream of endless thoughts when she suddenly received a call from Hao Ming. He invited her to visit his studio. Hao Ming invited his girlfriend to see the flower he was growing, a flower that only blooms once at night. He explained that because it only blooms once in its entire life, it needs to go through countless hardships and trials before it can bloom most brilliantly. Zhuo Mian felt that Hao Ming was the flower she had to risk her life to get. No matter what the price, as long as she could be by his side forever, it would all be worth it. Xiaolin texted Zhuo Mian, informing her that she would book a plane ticket home tomorrow morning and told her younger sister to take care of her health. Zhuo Mian read the message, feeling no discomfort or ripple in her heart. Hao Ming asked Zhuo Mian why he had never heard of this cousin Xiaolin before. Zhuo Mian didn't want to tell her boyfriend too much about these things, so she vaguely replied that they were distant relatives and not close, so there was no need to invite her to the wedding. Hao Ming didn't say anything more. Xiaolin returned home and immediately texted her younger sister, but unexpectedly, this younger sister didn't give her a way out. Xiaolin received a text message from her brother, and the content was only urging her to come home. Xiaolin felt very annoyed. She had no idea that her not coming home had caused a commotion in the family. Her father, wanting to find Xiaolin, went everywhere inquiring about Zhuo Mian's address to find her. Zhuo Mian was originally strolling in the park with Yulan and Hao Ming's family, along with the two parents she had paid to hire, so she didn't notice the appearance of her real father. By the time Zhuo Mian saw him, it was too late. She wanted to deliberately avoid him, but unexpectedly, her father called out her real name directly. Yulan immediately became angry, warning Zhuo Mian that she was still lying even now. Everyone around her kept criticizing her. Zhuo Mian felt like the whole world was collapsing when she heard those scolding words. Fortunately, it was just a scene that Zhuo Mian had imagined. She immediately took action, hurriedly sending her boyfriend's family home first. Zhuo Mian saw her real father and stepmother come to ask her about things. The two fake parents saw that the situation was not good, so they quickly said that they were from the matchmaking company, instructed Zhuo Mian to transfer the remaining money to the account, and hurriedly left. Xiaolin's father was completely unaware that his daughter was getting married. When he found out, he was extremely angry because, as her real father, he had not been informed by his daughter. Zhuo Mian said that from childhood, her household registration only had her name and her maternal grandmother's, and her only relative was her maternal grandmother. Seeing her father's angry appearance, Zhuo Mian felt extremely pleased. When she heard him say that he would not attend her wedding, she was even happier and proactively gave them Xiaolin's address. After meeting her parents, Xiaolin explained that she was too panicked at the time, so she could only choose to do that. Xiaolin wanted to find her younger sister to talk things through, hoping that her parents could attend Zhuo Mian's wedding. Unexpectedly, before she could even enter the house, she discovered that her younger sister had spent money to hire fake parents to attend the wedding. Hearing Zhuo Mian's words, Xiaolin somewhat sympathized with her younger sister, but ultimately believed that lying was wrong. As for Zhuo Mian, she felt that she had always longed for this since she was little, either have nothing at all or have everything. Xiaolin didn't want her younger sister to sink deeper and deeper into the wrong path, and said that she would continue to find ways to persuade her. Hao Ming said that he had finished preparing the guest list and asked why only 4 people were invited from his girlfriend's side, and suggested that he wanted to meet her maternal grandmother. Zhuo Mian then lied that her parents were abroad and she had no relatives to contact. As for her maternal grandmother, she promised to bring her boyfriend to meet her another day. Zhuo Mian returned to her hometown to visit her grandmother, bringing the news that she would be getting married next month. Seeing her grandmother's expectant appearance and hearing her say that she really wanted to meet her grandson-in-law, Zhuo Mian suddenly felt a little uncomfortable in her heart. She hoped that her maternal grandmother could stop her parents and not let them ruin her plans. Looking at the delicious food that her maternal grandmother had saved for her, Zhuo Mian couldn't help but burst into tears. In fact, she knew in her heart that her maternal grandmother cared about her very much. She hugged her tightly, promising that she would definitely let her live a better life. Since being denied by her father to take the college entrance exam, it was her maternal grandmother who had provided for her to go to school. Even the expensive tuition and living expenses at the university were scraped together by her. Therefore, this hometown to her had both a deep love and a complex feeling of wanting to escape. When she was in college, Zhuo Mian desperately earned money so she could send more living expenses to her grandmother. Hao Ming put a ring on Zhuo Mian's finger. In her heart, she knew she was sorry to him, but to achieve her goals, she could disregard the means. Hao Ming was very happy to see his cousin Fang Lei return. Zhuo Mian had accidentally overheard their conversation. She felt that her relationship seemed to be in a bit of a crisis, and the plan to marry into a wealthy family seemed a bit dangerous. Seeing Hao Ming chatting with that girl, Zhuo Mian felt a sense of crisis in her heart, but she didn't expose them. She quietly sent a message, calling her boyfriend downstairs. When she heard that Hao Ming was getting married, Fang Lei was stunned. Zhuo Mian deliberately approached Fong Lei, announcing that she and her brother were getting married, to see the girl's reaction. Clearly, Fong Lei was no pushover either. She realized that the other person's words always contained the intention of showing off about the wedding to deliberately make her uncomfortable. Zhuo Mian proactively invited Fong Lei to eat. Fong Lei accepted, and at the table, she told Zhuo Mian that she and Hao Ming had known each other since childhood, playing together since they were 16 years old. Finally, Zhuo Mian got married, but she was extremely worried that the fake identities of her parents were about to be exposed. Unexpectedly, at that moment, the parents of her friend, named Jia Jia, actually appeared at the party. Zhuo Mian planned to find a way to get Jia Jia's parents to leave, but unexpectedly, her parents-in-law proactively invited them to toast. After a while of chatting, the two sides seemed to get along very well and began to talk nonstop. While toasting, Zhuo Mian was on tenterhooks, constantly paying attention to the movements of the people she had hired. Feeling that she was about to be exposed, she hurriedly signaled her people to pretend to spill wine on Jia Jia's parents to use as an excuse to take them away. Zhuo Mian felt that organizing this wedding was too risky, making her physically and mentally exhausted. Fong Lei asked Hao Ming to come out and threatened that if he didn't come, she would take her life for him to see. Hao Ming thought that after all, they were old friends. Seeing that his wife was sound asleep, he thought it would be okay to go out for a bit. Zhuo Mian, from the side, witnessed the ambiguous scene between her husband and that girl, but said nothing. When she saw her husband reject that girl, she felt somewhat relieved. Hao Ming finally went to visit his maternal grandmother. He felt very warmed by her warm welcome and wanted to learn more about his wife. But before he could ask, Zhuo Mian cleverly interrupted him and steered the conversation in another direction. Her maternal grandmother told Zhuo Mian that her real father had a tumor in his lung, and the situation was very serious. She said that although he wasn't a good father, in the face of illness, she should still visit him once. Zhuo Mian didn't give a definite answer. The next morning, Hao Ming woke up to find that her maternal grandmother had woken up very early and invited him to go to the market. He immediately agreed. Hao Ming was very happy to hear his maternal grandmother praise him endlessly, saying that his wife had always told him good things about him. However, when he heard her say that his wife had more or less a few bad habits and hoped that he would help her change, Hao Ming didn't really pay attention. In the end, Zhuo Mian still softened. She secretly gave her father some money for treatment and prepared some dowry for her older sister. Zhuo Mian took Hao Ming to visit this small town. Hao Ming felt that the place Zhuo Mian brought him to had extremely fresh and quiet air, very suitable for making an office for his wife. Seeing Zhuo Mian say nothing, Hao Ming then told her that she was his wife, and he would help her fulfill any wish. When he saw the height markings for the child left by the previous owner, Hao Ming happily recalled his childhood. Zhuo Mian, on the other hand, thought of the scene from her childhood when the whole family ignored her, only always measuring her older sister's height. Hao Ming took out Zhuo Mian's lipstick to measure her height. In that moment, Zhuo Mian was extremely moved. The unfulfilled wishes of her childhood were now being helped to be fulfilled by her husband. Hao Ming and Zhuo Mian looked at each other passionately, then exchanged a kiss. Xiaolin was working a cosmetics counter. When she saw Ming, she couldn't take her eyes off him. But right at that moment, a customer came and blocked her path to chasing Ming. This customer was extremely difficult, constantly using the testers but not buying a single item. Xiaolin felt very annoyed and planned to provoke the customer into buying something. But unexpectedly, the other party threatened to complain about her. Xiaolin recognized that this customer was her roommate, so she brought some samples from work back for a friend, telling her that she could just do her makeup at home in the future and didn't need to bother her at work anymore. While getting goods in the warehouse, Xiaolin was hit by falling merchandise. Guan Guan, as her roommate, thoughtfully helped her register for a medical examination. The doctor was Ming. Xiaolin was a bit embarrassed when she saw Ming recognize her, but when she saw his appearance, she still couldn't take her eyes off him. Between Xiaolin and Ming, there was a secret. As the older sister, she liked this young man very much, but he liked her younger sister. To see Zhuo Mian, Ming deliberately lingered with Xiaolin, saying that he must meet her family. Seeing Ming's appearance, Xiaolin mistakenly thought that he cared a lot about her. When Zhuo Mian saw that her sister lived in such a shabby place, she forcibly pulled the decorators to her house to help her move. Initially, Xiaolin strongly opposed it, but when she heard that her neighbor was Ming, she didn't say a word and immediately agreed to move. Lin Tao's parents told him that Xiaolin's family had now rented a new space and opened a new barbershop. Lin Tao listened to their instigation and went to find Zhuo Mian, even claiming to be her brother-in-law, but he was stopped by security and had to leave quietly. Zhuo Mian was talking to Ming when Lin Tao found her and made a scene on the spot. Zhuo Mian saw that her rival Si Wei also happened to be there. She felt that she shouldn't stay here any longer, wanted to get rid of this man, and said that she was willing to pay any amount of money. Unexpectedly, the other party insisted and only demanded the return of the betrothal money. Zhuo Mian told Xiao Lin that she had to resolve this matter once and for all. Otherwise, the matter would eventually make a scene all the way to her company, so everyone in her husband's family would know. At that time, she wouldn't be able to stop it, and this matter would also affect her. Xiao Lin thought her younger sister cared about her, but unexpectedly, she said such harsh words. But when she saw the things her younger sister left behind after leaving, Xiao Lin knew that her younger sister was actually just tough on the outside, but soft on the inside. Hao Ming told Zhou Heng not to approve Lin Tao's leave request so that he couldn't cause trouble again. Zhuo Mian cooked for Hao Ming. The two of them were extremely happy together. When working at the company, Hao Ming always encountered obstacles and was called the Crown Prince by others. He really didn't want Zhuo Mian to know about his affairs at the company. Originally, Zhuo Mian didn't intend to ask, but seeing that her husband seemed unhappy, she still wanted to make him happy again. Zhuo Mian knew that Hao Ming actually had many unhappy things in his heart, but he hid them and didn't want his family to know. As a wife, she understood that there were times when her husband needed encouragement, and she hoped that he could share with her. Zhuo Mian went everywhere inquiring to help Hao Ming. After 4 weeks of investigation, she learned that General Manager Huang had an elderly mother living in a nursing home. Zhuo Mian went to the nursing home. General Manager Huang's mother was extremely hot-tempered and was in the final stages of cancer. General Manager Huang loved his wife very much, and this mother was the only relative his wife had left in the world. Zhuo Mian knew that General Manager Huang's mother liked meatballs, so she called her maternal grandmother to learn how to make this dish, hoping to win the old lady's heart. Zhuo Mian made meatballs while nagging, saying that if her maternal grandmother came to this big city with her, they could sit next to each other and enjoy them. Hearing this, her maternal grandmother scolded her granddaughter for being annoying, but in her heart, she was very happy and cherished the moments the two grandmothers and granddaughters were together. Hearing her maternal grandmother nag, Zhuo Mian felt like she was back in the time when she lived with her, a feeling of extreme relief and freedom. Perhaps this was the real Zhuo Mian. After much effort, Zhuo Mian finally succeeded in making the meatballs. General Manager Huang's mother felt that this girl was a bit strange, calling her grandma and bringing pastries. But at this time, the old lady was focusing all her attention on shaping the clay balls in her hand. Zhuo Mian told the old lady that her maternal grandmother was also once a border guard, protecting the country's borders. When Zhuo Mian stated the purpose of her visit, the old lady unexpectedly became agitated and tried to hit her. When Zhuo Mian mentioned the vegetarian meatballs, the old lady hurriedly took out her 10 precious clay balls and carefully counted them. Seeing that scene, Zhuo Mian felt that the old lady was truly pitiful. She took out the vegetarian meatballs she had made for her and even fed her pastries. Zhuo Mian patiently stayed by General Manager Huang's mother's side, making her last days extremely happy. Even to coax her to take her medicine, Zhuo Mian pretended to be taking medicine too. Although she was sometimes not mentally clear, the old lady keenly realized that this girl was treating her very well and was extremely moved in her heart. Zhuo Mian washed General Manager Huang's mother's hair, and she recalled the scene of her often washing her maternal grandmother's hair at home, washing it slowly and then her falling asleep. The old lady was enjoying this moment very much, and while washing her hair, Zhuo Mian didn't realize that the old lady was crying. Sometimes, Zhuo Mian would freeze when the old lady suddenly called her daughter and took out her beloved vegetarian meatballs, telling her to remember to heat them up when she ate them and to take care of herself. Although they were only vegetarian meatballs, for Zhuo Mian, they were a heavy love from the old lady. General Manager Huang saw his mother so happy. It had been a long time since she had those happy moments when she was with that girl. General Manager Huang knew that Zhuo Mian was Hao Ming's wife. He found Hao Ming and said that he had married a virtuous and talented wife. But today, he was only playing golf and not discussing work. Hao Ming took this opportunity to show off his talent. General Manager Huang also looked at this young man with different eyes and retracted his words that he was a crown prince. Siwei happened to see her colleagues discussing a woman who had repeatedly tricked 3 men into marrying her and taking the betrothal money, and then had been arrested by the police. But when she looked at the photo, she discovered that Zhuo Mian's parents were present in it. Siwei felt very strange. When she first started working, Zhuo Mian only said that she had a maternal grandmother. So where did the father abroad come from? Thinking this, she secretly took her leader's phone to find Zhuo Mian's wedding photos. Afterward, Siwei found Liang Jie and threatened him to cooperate with her. Siwei found Zhuo Mian and declared that she would make a shocking program that would ruin Zhuo Mian's reputation. At that time, Zhuo Mian was in the competition to select a news anchor, and she was unexpectedly pulled in by Siwei to be an audience member. Here, Mian saw that her fake father had been found by Si Wei. Only then did she know that the other party had set a trap waiting for her. Because they were rivals who had fought for many years, they understood each other very well, and now, her fatal weakness had been grasped by the other party. Mian looked extremely panicked on the spot, seeing her opponent saying sharp words and questioning her aggressively. The colleagues sitting below were also a bit surprised and began to whisper, saying that these two looked quite similar. In an instant, Mian's identity was doubted by everyone, and she was immediately pushed to the forefront. Seeing that Mian looked terrified, Si Wei felt that this trump card of hers was indeed too powerful. Looking at the other party's bewildered expression, she became even more smug. Unexpectedly, the event took an unexpected turn. The man pretending to be Mian's father had suddenly changed his mind, admitting that he and the person in the photo did indeed look a bit similar, and casually took off his sunglasses. He said that he participated in activities like these because some prestigious families needed someone to save face, while others were from marriage scams. He asserted that he wasn't familiar with Mian at all. This was also the first time they had met, so there was no reason to frame her. Si Wei was extremely angry, feeling that these two had colluded to play with her. Mian slapped a glass of water in Si Wei's face and turned around and left. In fact, Mian understood Si Wei very well. She knew that after the other party said such certain words, she had guessed that there would be today, so she had prepared in advance and colluded with the person she had hired. Unexpectedly, Si Wei was suspended from work by the director. Mian found Si Wei. Si Wei was extremely angry, thinking that Mian was a fraud who would stop at nothing. Right at that moment, Mian saw Hao Ming coming. She deliberately provoked Si Wei to be hit. As a result, Si Wei was suspended from work by Hao Ming. Yulan and her husband gradually accepted this daughter-in-law. When Mian successfully became a famous news anchor, the two even pooled money to buy her a gift. Hao Ming was a little incredulous that his mother would treat his wife so well. Hao Chan wanted Hao Ming to go horseback riding with him, but his father didn't agree, saying that he had a meeting with the director tomorrow. Yulan didn't want to bother with her youngest son at all, and seeing Mian's blank expression, she conveniently handed over this mess to her daughter-in-law, wanting to have some peace and quiet to get a beauty treatment. Mian found Hao Chun, feeling that although the matter had been resolved, the situation still needed to be explained clearly. Hao Chun heard his parents say they wanted to send him abroad, and even said he was very naughty. Coincidentally, after school, the boy overheard the adults talking, and seeing them looking at him, he couldn't help but sneak away, thinking that Mian must have come to their house and taken Hao Ming away from him. Mian was a little stunned, not expecting that she had caused so much hurt to the boy, and proactively promised that she would try to get her husband to spend more time with his younger brother. Mian met her ex-boyfriend again, and the two reminisced about the old days together. Mian remembered the two of them meeting while looking for jobs because they were scammed by people from the company, and he was the one who helped her. At that time, Mian went everywhere looking for jobs, but kept failing. Fresh out of school, she was still very naive and had no job-seeking experience, failing time and time again. Seeing her ex-boyfriend praising her so much, Mian proactively asked what he was doing now. Zhe Yuan wanted Mian to introduce him to her husband, and frankly said that his company was newly established and needed to get acquainted with major shareholders like him in order to change industries. Mian saw that Zhe Yuan had a guest, so she planned to go to the restroom first, but unexpectedly overheard a shocking secret. The other party's company was clearly a scam company, and even the phone used for contact wasn't plugged in. Mian brought Xiao Lin to her house and instructed her to say less when she entered. Mian didn't expect that the fake cousin she brought would gradually reveal everything. Because saying too much would lead to mistakes, Xiao Lin realized she had said too much and couldn't salvage the situation. Xiao Lin told Hao Ming that her younger sister might not be easily moved, but once she fell in love, it would be for life, so she hoped her brother-in-law would treat her sister well. Hao Ming didn't take it seriously. Xiao Lin told Mian that she had asked some lawyers, saying that with her sister's situation, even if her identity was exposed later, if the man truly loved her, she wouldn't have to bear any legal responsibility. Mian was a little happy that Xiao Lin was thinking about her so much. Xiao Lin suddenly realized that it had been a long time since the two of them had taken a walk together like this. Mian saw the students beside her and remembered when she was little and wanted to listen to music with headphones, her older sister bought her a music player. Now that she's grown up, although her older sister seems careless, she's always thinking of her. Hao Chun saw that Hao Ming didn't come horseback riding with him, and coincidentally, he changed horses today and saw his sister-in-law constantly showing concern for him. He felt extremely annoyed. While riding, seeing his sister-in-law taking pictures of him, he angrily tightened the reins, fell to the ground, wanting to attract the attention of his family. Hao Chun didn't expect that his fall only attracted everyone's temporary attention. They turned their heads and then left. In an instant, he was extremely agitated, throwing things everywhere. Zhuo Mian saw the stubborn kid chasing her away. She had many ways to deal with this kid. Hao Chun argued for a while, felt that he couldn't win against that woman, so he pretended to have a stomachache and wanted to go to the restroom. Zhuo Mian was both angry and hated this little devil, but knowing his stubborn personality, she patiently stayed here with Hao Chun. Hao Chun had always been ignored by everyone since he was little, and he really wanted to receive attention from his family. He felt that although this woman's words were a bit harsh, her concern for him was genuine. Xiao Lin went to find Yiming. She kept holding out her arm, showing that she was much better. Just in time for lunch, Yiming invited Xiao Lin to eat. During the meal, Xiao Lin got the WeChat ID of a girl sitting at the next table, saying that if that girl came to her store, she would teach her how to do makeup. That girl was very happy. Hao Chan was very touched to see Zhuo Mian tirelessly cleaning the room and taking care of him. After she finished cleaning, the two fell into a rather awkward situation. Zhuo Mian proactively shared the video she took with Hao Chun and said that this video could help him recognize the shortcomings when riding a horse so that the coach could correct them in time. Zhuo Mian told Hao Ming that Hao Chun deliberately fell off the horse to get attention from his family, so he did such an extreme thing. Zhuo Mian used her childhood story to tell her husband, hoping he could care more about his younger brother, because even though he was just a child, he still yearned to be loved. Hao Ming was very moved, not expecting Zhuo Mian to care about Hao Chun so much. In fact, Hao Chan was still awake and had heard the conversation between his older brother and sister-in-law, and he was also a little touched. Thanks to her makeup skills, Xiao Lin was highly valued by the company. The company wanted to select personnel for the sales department and felt that Xiao Lin was also worthy of being on the candidate list. Originally, Xiao Lin was very confident in herself, but when she heard the leader say that her education level was too low, she realized that this was indeed her weakness and wanted to take the time to improve her qualifications. Xiao Lin knew that studying was always a headache for her, so she turned to Yiming for help. Hao Chan proactively apologized to his sister-in-law and asked her to help him not go abroad. Zhuo Mian happily agreed. When Yulan saw the paintings that Hao Chan drew and heard her daughter-in-law say that she needed to be by his side to take care of her youngest son, they both fell silent. Hao Ming arrived. Hao Chan felt that his sister-in-law was really amazing, not expecting that she could convince the whole family to visit him in the hospital. This was the happiest day of his life. Hao Ming gave Zhuo Mian a beautiful red car. Zhuo Mian felt that every time she accomplished something, her husband would give her a gift, which felt a bit unreal, but she still told him that he was the life she desired. Zhe Yuan called Zhuo Mian out for dinner, but used her real identity to threaten her, forcing her to invest in him, and said that if she didn't invest, he would expose everything. Zhuo Mian saw her mother-in-law calling her, and even instructed her to prepare ingredients for tomorrow's cooking. When she heard the maid say that she was busy tomorrow, Zhuo Mian said that she would handle these things. The maid felt that Zhuo Mian was different now, more and more like the mistress of the house. Those words made Zhuo Mian feel very happy inside. Xiao Lin was sadly drinking when she saw Yiming also came here, so the two drank together. Yiming's alcohol tolerance was not good, so he got drunk and was taken home by Xiao Lin. He even vomited on her. Yiming explained that he wasn't really drunk yesterday. He just felt dizzy from the aftertaste of the alcohol. Xiao Lin felt that Yiming was very cheerful. Xiao Lin heard Yiming say that Zhuo Mian had helped him pass on a message, and Yiming expressed his hope that in the future the two sisters wouldn't need him as a messenger anymore. Zhe Yuan came to Zhuo Mian's house. Seeing this shameless man dare to come to her house, Zhuo Mian looked for a way to deal with him. Seeing him constantly trying to please her mother-in-law, she became even more angry. Zhuo Mian saw Zhe Yuan's ambitious appearance, trying to persuade her to deceive her husband into investing in his dilapidated company, and immediately exposed that his company's processes were unclear, and even some basic regulations and systems couldn't be produced. Even if they were shown to the government, they would be exposed. Zhuo Mian looked at Zhe Yuan's disgusting appearance, not expecting him to use her identity to threaten her. Zhuo Mian felt that if this situation continued, letting him stay here was not a good solution. Hao Ming was very happy to see Zhuo Mian was raising goldfish. Unexpectedly, Zhe Yuan came by himself. Zhuo Mian watched Zhe Yuan and her husband leave, and in her heart, she became more determined to deal with this guy. Hao Ming and Zhe Yuan raised their glasses to celebrate. Hao Ming even said that he had heard his mother mention Zhe Yuan before. With his skillful words, Zhe Yuan acted extremely honored that a small figure like himself was remembered by General Manager Shen. Zhe Yuan said that this was also thanks to Zhuo Mian, and then frankly said that he and Zhuo Mian had known each other for a long time. Hao Ming curiously asked how close Zhuo Mian and Zhe Yuan were. Zhe Yuan immediately seized the opportunity, recounting that he had known Zhuo Mian for a long time, and even often made international phone calls to her uncle and aunt abroad. Zhuo Mian intended to interrupt to cut him off, but Zhe Yuan didn't give her a chance at all. Seeing this, Hao Ming said if they were so close, his company also operated in many fields, and as long as the other party was talented enough, they could completely discuss opportunities for cooperation. Zhe Yuan confidently said that he was very knowledgeable about the field of high technology. Hao Ming also skillfully replied that because he had met his parents-in-law quite late, he didn't understand the previous relationships of the family. Zhuo Mian felt extremely uncomfortable because the situation was out of control and she was being threatened. Zhe Yuan believed that Zhuo Mian would definitely help him because she was the person who valued face the most and couldn't give up everything she had. He somewhat looked down on Zhuo Mian, believing that she had spent so much effort to marry into a wealthy family just for money, benefits, fame, and status. Therefore, he thought that as long as he exposed her lies, this dream life would vanish into thin air, and she would have no choice but to compromise with him. Zhuo Mian declared that she was willing to go big or go home, and believed that Hao Ming himself would not let someone like Zhe Yuan approach him. Zhe Yuan replied that Zhuo Mian could scare Hao Ming, but if she paid him herself, this debt would haunt her forever. In an extremely stressful mood, Zhe Yuan sought out Zhuo Mian, demanding money. He threatened that if she didn't give him the money, he would be accused by his employees and would even be unable to pay their salaries. Seeing Zhuo Mian being bullied, Xiao Lin stepped forward to chase Zhe Yuan away. Xiao Lin felt extremely guilty towards Zhuo Mian for revealing her information to him, and finally the two sisters reconciled. Afterwards, Zhuo Mian received a call from Zhe Yuan and discovered that he had brought her father. Facing the father who had always been a childhood nightmare, Zhuo Mian was severely scolded by him. He thought she was unrepentant and scrupulous and insisted on exposing her lies. Zhuo Mian felt that her father was truly fake and hypocritical. From a young age, she had never been cared for, yet now she was being told such things by her own father, as if she didn't deserve to have this happy and fulfilling life. When she heard her father say he wanted to disown her, Zhuo Mian felt no sadness in her heart. Zhuo Mian had just sold the luxury car that Hao Ming bought for her, and he knew about it immediately. She used the money from selling the car to give to Zhe Yuan. She knew very well that this was a bottomless pit and was determined not to let her husband be deceived, and was even willing to confront him to the end. Zhuo Mian advised Hao Ming to be careful with this investment because the origins of the other party's company were unclear and hoped her husband would think it over carefully. Unexpectedly, he only said that he hoped she would be happy every day and not worry. Zhe Yuan almost collapsed, feeling that he had been tricked. Zhuo Mian suddenly realized that Zhe Yuan had been missing for 4 months. Everything seemed like a dream. It wasn't until later that she learned that Zhe Yuan had been arrested. She was both happy that Hao Ming was not deceived and felt that there seemed to be a distance between him and her. Every time he was about to say something, he seemed hesitant and then stopped. Zhuo Mian wanted to be honest with Hao Ming about everything, but she couldn't find an opportunity. When Xiao Lin saw Yi Ming, she hurriedly pulled him over to have dinner with Zhuo Mian. Xiao Lin suddenly realized that Yi Ming was completely different when he was with Zhuo Mian. He talked nonstop, even more than when he was with her. Zhuo Mian told Hao Ming about a friend of hers who had hidden a few things before getting married. But now they were living very happily, and the friend wanted to proactively confess everything. Hearing this, Hao Ming immediately interrupted. He thought that there was absolutely no need to confess. As long as they worked together toward a good future, that was enough. In order to get on the board of directors, Hao Ming needed to convince the two Jiangyun sisters. Fang Lei sought out Jiangyun, but noticed that the other party didn't seem to like her very much, so she turned to find Jiang Liang. In the business world, Jiang Liang was known as a playboy, spending his days immersed in a luxurious and depraved lifestyle. He acted very politely towards Fang Lei. Seeing Jiang Liang had drunk some alcohol and was a little tipsy, Fang Lei proactively mixed tomato sauce with honey to help him sober up. When seeing this unique hangover recipe, Hao Ming unconsciously remembered when they were in love. Fang Lei also made him the same hangover elixir. Fang Lei and Jiang Liang acted very intimately. Jiang Liang said he wanted to introduce some friends to such a beautiful girl and told Fang Lei to eat something to line her stomach first. Fang Lei deliberately acted weak, saying that she hoped to use this method to help Hao Ming. At this time, Zhuo Mian had also arrived. Jiang Yun saw that Hao Ming's wife had something that looked a bit like her, and saw that the other party was very sociable and friendly, so she proactively offered her to go to a private room to change clothes. Zhuo Mian shared that even though she had married into a good family, she didn't want to just be a virtuous wife helping her husband at home, but also wanted to be able to truly help him at work. Jiang Yun felt like she was seeing herself from many years ago in this girl, and she admitted that Zhuo Mian had succeeded. Zhuo Mian took out old photos of Jiang Yun that she had painstakingly collected as a gift. Jiang Yun happily accepted them. She proactively introduced relationships to Zhuo Mian and also accepted her interview. Just like that, Zhuo Mian was greatly favored and led by Jiang Yun. In order to hold on to Hao Ming, Fang Lei pretended to be so drunk that she vomited. She went to the restroom hoping to receive his pity and even deliberately left their old love token there. Clearly not drunk, but Fang Lei acted extremely pathetic. When returning to the car, she told the person next to her that she only had Hao Ming in her heart before, now, and in the future. Even though her older sister was with him before, the feeling she had for Hao Ming never changed. Zhuo Mian didn't understand why Hao Ming trusted her so much. When hearing her husband say that she was the most amazing person, she felt extremely happy. The Jiang Yun sisters and Jiang Liang went to meet Hao Ming, expressing their desire to cooperate and wanting to be the proactive side. Unexpectedly, they were counterattacked by Hao Ming, reversing the situation. Jiang Yun felt that things were becoming more and more interesting. While examining patients, Ming met a very strange patient. This person came to the hospital and said that he had seduced his wife. Lin Tao kept causing trouble at the hospital. Xiao Lin happened to be there and called him outside. Lin Tao said he came to pick up his fiancée home. He thought she had cheated in her thoughts, but he still let everything go and hoped she could come back. When Ming came to see Xiao Lin and Lin Tao declared that he would rather have his fiancée take his life than want this person to help him. Fang Lei discovered Hao Chun and called Hao Ming, feeling that this child really looked a bit like him. Hao Ming had originally prepared everything to organize a perfect birthday for Zhuo Mian, but because of this phone call, he had to rush to meet Fang Lei. Fang Lei used the child to threaten him, forcing Hao Ming to be with her. Hao Ming begged Fang Lei to let him go. Immediately, Fang Lei took out medicine and said that she was about to go see her older sister. Hao Ming had no idea that Zhuo Mian had called him many times, but he didn't answer. Zhuo Mian waited for a long time. When she saw her husband return, she attentively helped him take off his coat and only thought that he was busy with company matters, so he came home late, not thinking too much about it. From a young age, Zhuo Mian had never had a proper birthday, so this time was very special and happy for her. Hao Ming's heart was extremely troubled, but he outwardly acted as if nothing had happened. He apologetically said that he had made his wife wait for a long time and wanted to take a shower and then come down to enjoy their private world. But as soon as he entered the bathroom, Hao Ming couldn't hold back anymore. He really wanted to escape from Fang Lei, suddenly remembering that his ex-girlfriend had died in a scuba diving accident. The man who had always been arrogant couldn't hold back his tears. The atmosphere around him was filled with grief. Jean de Group and Shi Feng Group were originally prepared to sign a contract, but unexpectedly, an unforeseen event occurred at the scene. Many reporters present were shocked to witness the chairman of the giant commercial group, Shi Feng, being arrested by the police on the spot. Director Shun was stunned when he was about to sign his name when he saw this scene. Clearly, the stock of Jean de Group was also severely affected and continued to plummet and was pushed to the forefront of the storm. Hao Ming told his father that they could cooperate with Zhang Ke. The son of Fu Jie now had unrealistic ideas. How could some things be realized before they were ripe? Furthermore, his son clearly knew that such a thing would happen today, but he didn't remind him at all. Hao Ming confidently told his father that he could salvage the company situation and that he had in fact reminded his father about this 3 months ago, and was also very confident that he had a clear plan. Mr. Shun felt that his son had now grown up, and he could let go and let him try. Just like that, Hao Ming took the chairman's seat on the board of directors, and immediately after taking office, he drastically reorganized longtime employees and even fired one person. Zhuo Mian went to find Hao Ming. Mr. Wu saw the two together and found it difficult to speak, but he still had to humble himself and say that he knew he had caused damage to the company, but hoped that he could give him a way out for the sake of his years of dedication. Zhuo Mian felt that Mr. Wu's expression was a bit off. Unexpectedly, he pulled out a weapon and tried to stab Hao Ming. In a critical moment, Zhuo Mian took a knife for him. Hao Ming gave Zhuo Mian a lot of money again, but this made Zhuo Mian, as a wife, feel that it was a burden. She felt as if every time she did something wrong, her husband would use money to reward her, creating an invisible distance between the two. Hao Ming came to pick up Hao Chun. Hao Chun was extremely happy, and when he saw his brother sleeping with him, he felt an unprecedented happiness. Just like that, Zhuo Mian was sidelined by Hao Ming. He hung up on her phone call outright. Ziwei was transferred back to being a grassroots employee. She had to eat at the restaurant every day, and sometimes even wanted to ask her mother to find her another job, but was brutally rejected by her own mother. Because of this, her mood became extremely negative, and many colleagues in the company were also very afraid of her. Zhuo Mian knew that Ziwei had to work hard to run around to all the shops outside, but when she saw her lying, she couldn't help but come over and advise her to wear sneakers when working would be better. Ziwei was not to be outdone, and said some harsh words, telling Zhuo Mian to be careful with her wealthy husband. saying that perhaps there was an insurmountable abyss between them, that the man only kept compensating with material things and had no feelings at all. This statement was indeed very accurate and hurt Zhuo Mian. Fang Lei came to visit Hao Ming and pretended to be weak, saying that she was injured in order to soften this brother-in-law's heart, and she succeeded. Hao Ming softened and took Fang Lei home. Zhuo Mian saw Hao Ming and Fang Lei getting along very well, while she could only stand by and pour water, pick up balls like an outsider, completely unable to integrate. Zhuo Mian told Xiao Lin that there was a glass wall between her and Hao Ming, and neither could see through each other. Fang Lei pretended to be drunk to seduce Hao Ming. After receiving a phone call confirming that the contract had been signed, Hao Ming immediately turned his face, telling Fang Lei the truth. Fang Lei now realized that Hao Ming was such a despicable person, but everything had been written down and could not be changed. Finally, Zhuo Mian waited for Hao Ming to return, originally intending to honestly tell him the thing she had hidden, but unexpectedly he said that if it was something that made him unhappy, then don't say it. Once again, Zhuo Mian swallowed the words she intended to say. Fang Lei told Zhuo Mian that Hao Ming and Hao Chun were biological father and son. Zhuo Mian suddenly realized that Hao Ming had hidden too many things from her. From beginning to end, he was only using her. When she saw Hao Chun, Zhuo Mian's feeling at this time was really avoidance and no longer the love she had before. After learning the truth, Zhuo Mian felt as if the sky had fallen. She listlessly returned home like a soulless body, facing her husband's fake concern. There was not a trace of joy in her heart. Zhuo Mian told Hao Ming straight that Fang Lei had told her some truths, that she knew her husband had a child of his own. Why did he have to hide such an obvious truth? And the job she was preparing for, even some of the people around her were arranged by her husband to serve his career promotion. Hao Ming was angry when he heard his wife say that, and even took out the investigation documents about her family background. He bluntly admitted that he liked the kind of person who always strived to rise like her. So he chose to hide this matter with her, to let her play the role of the daughter of a high-class intellectual family, and then marry her. Zhuo Mian suddenly realized that everything her husband had given her was fake. The exploitation was greater than true love. Hao Ming didn't hide it either, admitting that everything he did had a purpose. Finally, Zhuo Mian understood why every time she did something right, her husband would give her expensive gifts. It turned out she had misunderstood. It was just a reward for the mutually beneficial cooperation between the two parties. Zhuo Mian fiddled with those documents, her heart as cold as ashes. She left the room. Now she knew clearly her husband didn't have a trace of love for her. Zhuo Mian looked at Hao Ming, suddenly discovering that she was increasingly unable to understand this person. She suggested that if he wanted a divorce, she would agree. She didn't want to continue being a couple in name only like this. But when she heard her husband say that she hadn't officially sat in the news anchor's position yet, and used that position to threaten her, Zhuo Mian suddenly felt that this job was like a hot potato, and she even just wanted to get out of it. Zhuo Mian had just finished recording the news program, and she heard the leader say that the higher-ups had praised her and told her to continue in this position. Zhuo Mian suddenly felt that what Hao Ming said was not wrong. The job she was doing could indeed provide a smooth information channel for her husband. Fang Lei called Hao Ming, but he didn't answer the phone. Zhuo Mian cooked for Hao Ming and bowed her head, expressing that the things she hid were only because of her deep love for her husband, and she had even worked hard just to get this love. Unexpectedly, her husband didn't give her any face, even when she said she would treat his illegitimate child well. Zhuo Mian expressed that she had very deep feelings for her husband, but he said she was an actress and acted very well. Zhuo Mian's heart was extremely painful. Just like that, Zhuo Mian and Hao Ming became a couple in name only. She watched Hao Ming pretend in front of the reporters that the two of them loved each other very much. Facing the camera, Zhuo Mian couldn't say a word, and even felt that her husband was subtly implying something to her in front of the camera. Hao Ming also heard the hidden meanings in Zhuo Mian's words. He treated Zhuo Mian like a subordinate, and ordered that at tomorrow's charity event, she must smile more. Fang Lei was about to end her life, and Hao Ming received a call and rushed to the scene. Looking at Fang Lei, Hao Ming felt that she deserved to die for telling the truth to his wife, so he wanted to watch Fang Lei end her life with his own eyes. In reality, Fang Lei wanted to live very much. She broke down and chased these people away. Xiao Lin went to visit Yiming, but unexpectedly saw that he was being scolded by a patient's family. For Yiming's sake, Xiao Lin secretly found the patient's family, intending to use money to resolve it, and even claimed to be the doctor's lover. After being accused, Yiming was also very dazed. Xiao Lin was very happy to see that Yiming had forgiven her. After the hospital mediated this incident, the patient's family also understood the complexity of the issue and expressed sympathy. At the charity event, Fang Lei and Zhuo Mian seemed very friendly to each other. Hao Ming was a little angry to see this scene and chased Fang Lei away. Hao Ming saw Zhuo Mian as if she had become a different person, just silent and not saying anything. Zhuo Mian used Hao Ming's money to spend lavishly on auction items. Because there were many people around, Hao Ming didn't say anything, just thinking that this girl had finally revealed her purpose. Zhuo Mian used Hao Ming's money to buy an auction item worth 3 million yuan. Seeing Hao Ming's expression as if he had seen through her true self, Zhuo Mian didn't say anything, but casually put the auction item on her hand, and even gave it to Feng Lei after the auction ended. Feng Lei felt that Zhuo Mian seemed to be stimulated by something and went crazy, while Hao Ming thought that Zhuo Mian was already broken, so she was just making things even worse. However, he thought that a woman who was greedy for benefits like Zhuo Mian would never really divorce him, so as long as it didn't harm his interests, he would turn a blind eye. The grandmother saw Zhuo Mian's unhappy appearance on TV and was very heartbroken. When she heard the assistant constantly flattering her, Zhuo Mian looked in the mirror and felt that she was no longer like she was in the beginning. She couldn't help but burst into tears. A feeling of helplessness and strange emptiness made her no longer have the courage to continue. Zhuo Mian received a call from her grandmother and heard her say that she didn't look happy lately. She couldn't help but silently shed tears, trying to appear strong and tell her that she would ask for leave next week to visit her. Zhuo Mian said that she missed her very much and wanted to go home. When she heard her say she wanted great-grandchildren, she avoided this topic. When she got home, Zhuo Mian smashed the osmanthus wine pot that Hao Ming gave her, something she had never been willing to drink. When she got home and didn't see her grandmother, Zhuo Mian called out several times, but no one answered. Her heart panicked. That was when she was informed that her grandmother was sick and had to be hospitalized. Luckily, she was taken there in time, so nothing serious happened. Zhuo Mian saw that her stepmother and father were there taking care of her. Although she was very grateful to them for taking her to the hospital, she still had nothing to say to them. Zhuo Mian also knew that her lives were about to end. She knew her grandmother wanted her to express this suffering in her heart, but she didn't want to make her sad. When she heard the assistant suggest preparing a backup plan, Hao Ming confidently said that a person like Zhuo Mian would never give up her current fame and status. Zhuo Mian left all the things that Hao Ming had given her and proudly proposed a divorce agreement. Seeing that her husband still wanted to threaten her, Zhuo Mian mentioned Feng Lei, and Hao Ming had no choice but to compromise. Zhuo Mian intended to go find her sister, but saw Qiao Lin being pulled out by a colleague, so she didn't bother anyone and quietly went home alone. Hao Ming saw that Zhuo Mian didn't take anything in the house with her, and suddenly felt a little panicked. Yiming had a very important surgery next week, and because the patient's family had a lot of opinions with him, he was very stressed, even scared, and had to use balloons to relieve the stress. Qiao Lin went to find Yiming and took him to the amusement park. The two had a good time together. Yiming's pressure was also greatly reduced. Zhuo Mian proactively went to the beauty salon to return the card. Ziwei went to see a lawyer because she thought her mother's young boyfriend wanted to compete for her property. Unexpectedly, she encountered her enemy, Zhuo Mian. After inquiring, she learned that Zhuo Mian was about to get divorced. Feng Lei went to find Hao Ming, saying that Zhuo Mian was now demanding a divorce. A person who puts benefits first like her would definitely cling on and not let go. Zhuo Mian arrived just then, and seeing Feng Lei holding Hao Ming's arm, she raised her wedding ring and slapped Feng Lei with it. Feng Lei was very unconvinced, so Hao Ming pulled Feng Lei back and told her not to cause trouble for no reason. When she heard the assistant report that the news that she was about to get divorced had spread, Zhuo Mian's mood became unstable. However, to reassure her subordinates, she didn't expose this. Ziwei went to see Zhuo Mian, thinking that her approach was a bit extreme and that she needed to think carefully about what really belonged to her and not be too judgmental. Zhuo Mian didn't say anything. As soon as Ziwei left, Zhuo Mian received a call from the director. She said straight that she wanted to resign. The director was stunned to hear that, but Zhuo Mian didn't intend to explain anything further. She felt that her success in her career all these years was thanks to her husband, and she wanted to start over. Zhuo Mian went straight to see Yulan, confessing all her background and lies. At the same time, she also assured everyone that she would definitely not destroy the reputation and name of the family. Before completing the formalities, she would tell everyone that she was going out to start business. Zhuo Mian suppressed the pain in her heart, shed tears, and left the two old people. Her heart was also very reluctant. Watching their daughter-in-law leave, the two old people also fell into silence. Hao Ming heard Boss Huang inquire about his wife, and also said that she visited his mother-in-law every day. He was very grateful and a little surprised. Hao Ming originally thought that Zhuo Mian was a girl who would use any means to achieve her goals, but he didn't expect that she could treat others so sincerely. Zhuo Mian entered a new life again. That day, the sewage pipe was leaking, and she was about to call the management when Yiming came and helped her repair it. Yiming hinted that in the future, If she needed him for anything, she must call. Seeing Zhuo Mian eating all vegetarian food, he reminded her to take good care of herself, especially her health. Zhuo Mian thought that Ming still had feelings for her, so she was quite resistant, but unexpectedly he bluntly said that it was just a past feeling, and now he simply wanted to help a friend. While Ming was in the bathroom, Hao Ming arrived. Zhuo Mian held the divorce agreement ready to close the door, but unexpectedly Hao Ming shamelessly went in and sat straight down on the sofa. Ming left when he saw Hao Ming arrive. Hao Ming and Zhuo Mian went to the Civil Affairs Bureau together to get a divorce. But unexpectedly, the Civil Affairs Bureau announced that the two needed a 1-month cooling-off period before they could complete the procedures. Yulan and Hao Chen both felt that the meal at home was difficult to swallow. Yulan and her husband also felt that there was no warmth of human affection on the table. This meal was really difficult to eat. Hao Ming watched the three of them leave the table, but he himself ate very well, feeling that the three of them were really strange. After resigning, Zhuo Mian went everywhere looking for jobs, but encountered difficulties because of the Shun family's connections. Hao Ming had originally been approved to join the board of directors, but unexpectedly, his own father cast a vote against him. Hao Ming didn't expect his father to vote against him at the last minute. He wanted to go find his father to reason with him. When he heard his father criticize him, and also said that he had married a woman who only told lies, Hao Ming was transferred to a remote place to train. Zhuo Mian went everywhere looking for jobs. Finally, thanks to friends' recommendations, she found a live streaming job. General Zhou saw that Zhuo Mian was stiff like a news anchor when live streaming selling household textiles, so he personally took action to teach her how to perform in the live streaming room. Hao Ming didn't say anything when he saw that his office was too simple, but what made him collapse was that the documents were extremely messy, and there wasn't even a startup plan. The fact that Hao Ming was chased away by his own father was known by his subordinates. They thought that this exiled crown prince had no hope, so they didn't bother to curry favor. Zhuo Mian strived to excel in her new position. When he was free, Hao Ming couldn't help but browse his wife's personal page, but only saw a blank space. Zhuo Mian was live streaming again. General Zhou suddenly realized that this employee had great potential for development, but saw that she kept emphasizing the 7-day, no-reason return policy without talking about the good quality of the product. So he personally came in to teach Zhuo Mian. Just like that, due to lack of experience, Zhuo Mian was demoted to live streaming assistant. Xiaolin happened to browse through Zhuo Mian's live streaming, so she came to find her. Zhuo Mian was feeling a bit of stomach ache at that time. Hearing her sister complain that men were not trustworthy, Zhuo Mian didn't complain much. She thought that if she did something wrong, she had to pay the price. Zhuo Mian felt that she was living very peacefully now, earning money with her own ability, completely without the fear of old things being exposed, and having to live cautiously like before. Xiaolin saw that her younger sister now knew to turn back to the shore, and was very happy for her in her heart. Hao Ming seriously started working from the lowest position on the construction site. He saw the masters drying the rebar in the sun. When he asked, everyone was very busy, and no one flattered him because of his identity. Zhuo Mian also started over, working as an assistant in the live streaming room and quickly adapting to this role. When Hao Ming first arrived at the construction site from a group, none of the workers knew who he was. Today, when his identity was introduced, unexpectedly, these workers not only didn't give him face, but also acted unreasonably. The problem of the project being behind schedule was because everyone didn't properly preserve the rebar, leading to the rebar rusting, which slowed down the progress. The workers all felt that they had done a lot, but suddenly a leader came and said that they didn't meet the requirements. So they were very angry and didn't pay attention to their superiors. Seeing their resistant attitude, Hao Ming decisively requested that they sign a contract, and only those who worked according to the rules would be paid. The ringleaders quietly left. Hao Ming knew that the person in charge here had a bad impression of him and had repeatedly reported to the company that the materials were not up to standard, which caused delays. But this person was cunning and wanted to avoid responsibility. Hao Ming bluntly gave the other party 3 days to resolve it. After a period of training, Zhuo Mian proactively sought out the general manager, expressing her desire to become a streamer. Hao Ming discovered that Zhuo Mian had become a streamer, and when he went to watch the live stream, he even saw his son frantically giving gifts and ordering a lot of chicken feet. Not willing to be outdone, Hao Ming immediately competed with his son on the stream, ordering hundreds of orders at once. If the staff next to him hadn't called him away, he might have continued to buy. General Zhou noticed that there were many big shots in Zhuo Mian's live streaming room. Perhaps they were her sugar daddies. General Zhou thought that it was a good idea to accept an invitation from a sugar daddy in the live streaming room to go for coffee, because after all, they were gods. Zhuo Mian was initially very angry, but because of the current situation, she had to agree to meet. When she met Shun Hao Chun, Zhuo Mian realized that it was this boy who had played the trick. Shen Haochun said that he missed his sister-in-law very much. He explained that although he bought a lot of chicken feet and even asked the nanny to help order them, he didn't waste them, but donated them all to the children at the nearby welfare institute. Shen Haochun really hoped that his sister-in-law would come back. His mother was also missing her at home and had lost weight, and she didn't feel that eating was delicious anymore. Zhuo Mian knew that Shen Haochun didn't know that she was about to get divorced, but seeing the boy's expectant appearance, her heart softened. She said that if the boy missed her, he could call her. In the meantime, Fang Lei caused a scandal on Zhuo Mian's live stream, causing the audience to turn around and attack the streamer. Because of this, Zhuo Mian was reprimanded by her superiors and lost his job. While Yulan was having afternoon tea with her close friends, she heard them discuss her daughter-in-law, so she felt a little unhappy. Fang Lei deliberately led those friends and Yulan to the place where Zhuo Mian worked to embarrass her. Yulan knew that Fang Lei deliberately led her friends to watch the fun, and when she heard a friend say that her daughter-in-law was suffering so much, she was losing face for the wealthy family, Yulan couldn't bear it and immediately responded bluntly. All of them rose to prominence from selling door-to-door with nothing, sleeping in factories. Fang Lei on the side felt embarrassed, thinking she would please Hao Ming's mother. Yulan then left, and Zhuo Mian saw her former mother-in-law, her expression extremely embarrassed. Sitting in the car, Yulan's heart was uneasy. She asked the driver to open the door to see her daughter-in-law. Seeing her struggling, she felt sorry and shed tears. To support Zhuo Mian, she asked the driver to buy several hundred bags of rice and cooking oil. Yulan's friends also conveniently placed a few more orders. At the end of the day, Zhuo Mian had sold a lot of goods, even selling out the company's entire inventory. That night, Hao Ming came to find Zhuo Mian, hoping that she could accept the money he brought. Zhuo Mian told Hao Ming clearly that he grew up in a good environment and enjoyed the best conditions for development. Meanwhile, she had lived in poverty since she was a child, so she had to learn how to seize every opportunity to rise. The two people's living concepts were too different. There was no need to stubbornly be together. Hao Ming watched Zhuo Mian's figure fade away, completely not understanding why the two of them were getting further and further apart. General Zhou knew that Zhuo Mian was the daughter-in-law of the Shun family, and his attitude immediately changed 180 degrees, and he even said that her identity was so noble. Why didn't she tell him sooner? Seeing that Zhuo Mian didn't waver at all, General Zhou's expression immediately changed. Zhuo Mian worked for more than a month, and when the general manager calculated her salary, the amount she received was only 1,400 yuan. Clearly, he wanted to use her connections to force her to continue working for him. Zhuo Mian felt that his ambition was too great, and she didn't want to have any contact with the Shan family anymore, so she immediately took her salary and quit. Xiao Lin knew that Zhuo Mian's job had failed, so she kindly introduced her to a friend who specialized in ethnic art costumes. This friend of Xiao Lin clearly had lost money because of doing business in this type of clothing, so currently she had no cash on hand. Guan Guan now had no faith in the store at all, feeling that even if she went to deliver food every day to earn money to invest in it, she couldn't save it. Seeing Zhuo Mian with a heavy heart, Xiao Lin asked her younger sister what was wrong, but Zhuo Mian didn't say anything, only feeling that a person who worked hard to earn money to live was truly full of vitality. Zhuo Mian unconsciously told herself that she wanted to try once. Xiao Lin stood beside her, listening in a daze, feeling that her younger sister was a little unusual today. Hao Ming had no idea that the person in charge here wanted to pocket the company's commission and had colluded with local gangsters to cause trouble at the construction site in order to delay the construction progress. Clearly, these gangsters wanted to make money from this. Seeing them acting purposefully, Hao Ming didn't say anything. The other party was very arrogant, declaring that if construction started, they were locals and they had plenty of time to drag this project out, seeing who could endure longer. Zhuo Mian proposed a few improvement measures for Guan Guan and everyone. They could focus on a specialized area. Everyone would work together to manage the necessary steps as accurately as possible, and then establish their own brand, contributing capital and effort together. Zhuo Mian originally thought they would need time to think about it, but unexpectedly, these friends immediately decided to quit their jobs to start a business together. Yiming also helped promote Xiao Lin's clothing store. Lin Tao came to find Xiao Lin again. Hearing the other party say that they had an emotional foundation, and even saying very pitiful words to approach her, Xiao Lin felt even more that Lin Tao was a mama's boy. Xiao Lin affirmed to Lin Tao that there was no possibility between them anymore. Yiming also spoke up to help, declaring in front of Lin Tao that he liked Xiao Lin. Yiming's slip of the tongue surprised both Xiao Lin and Lin Tao. The account that Zhuo Mian's group created initially had a very slow increase in followers. Zhuo Mian felt that they were entering a rut. To demonstrate the ethnic elements, the costumes they made might be slightly different from everyday clothes, so working people might find it difficult to accept. She suggested that they could try to make some changes in the design so that the costumes could be worn to work and in daily life, so that they could attract more people. After hearing Zhuo Mian's improvement suggestions, everyone decided to try changing again. During a break, Hao Ming unconsciously went to the live stream room but didn't see Zhuo Mian. He investigated some information about DeFu and then went to find him alone. DeFu felt like he was being cursed in the face when he heard the Shun family tell him to invest more money. This project was clearly losing money, and they were still forcing him to continuously pour money into it. Hao Ming went straight to DeFu's house. Seeing his mother siding with Hao Ming again, DeFu immediately gave in and patiently sat down to talk. Hearing what Hao Ming said seemed reasonable. He could not only benefit his hometown, but also make money. Why not do it? Hao Ming found out the backer of the person in charge. Hao Ming's father discovered that this matter was related to Lao Zhai, his friend of many years, and realized that this was no longer a small matter. Guan felt that they had invested too much recently. The costs for clothing and equipment were very expensive, but Zhuo Mian showed no signs that they would soon recover their capital. Therefore, they were very afraid that this investment would fall into the river and be ruined. Zhuo Mian was actually very uncomfortable when she heard the conversation between her sister and Guan. She quietly went to find investors alone, going from banquet to banquet, not showing any arrogance, just to be able to raise more capital. Just then, Hao Ming saw Zhuo Mian drunk and staggering alone on the road, so he was very worried. Xiaolin saw Hao Ming following behind and thought it was unnecessary. When her sister was sincere with him, he didn't care at all, and now that her sister had given up, he showed such concern, it was really cheap. Jiang Liang saw Zhuo Mian and hurriedly approached. He told Zhuo Mian to just call him General Jiang, but Zhuo Mian said that she came here to find investors. Unexpectedly, Jiang Liang stated the numbers clearly and directly. Zhuo Mian felt that Jiang Liang was not like the rumors outside said. He was very sensitive to numbers and calculated his profits very clearly. Zhuo Mian asked if Jiang Liang could stand from the perspective of an investor to invest in a project. Yang Liang said that the current situation was not possible, but as a friend, he could help Zhuo Mian. Jiang Liang agreed to invest in Zhuo Mian, and the two exchanged WeChat IDs. Hao Ming was about to return to headquarters. Their top target was Mr. Steven, but Mr. Steven wanted to go on a trip with his wife before discussing business. Moreover, he valued the way couples treated each other very much, so he paid close attention to the harmony of couples. Hao Ming wanted to call Zhuo Mian, but hesitated and didn't call. Jiang Liang saw that Zhuo Mian looked very charming when she was working, and seeing her dressed thinly, he took off his coat intending to put it on her. Zhuo Mian gently dodged, saying that she was only focused on design now and had no other thoughts. Jiang Liang felt that this woman was very special and attractive. Hao Ming went to find Zhuo Mian, wanting to ask her for help to get this contract. Xiaolin heard this and advised her younger sister not to agree. In order to be able to divorce smoothly, Zhuo Mian had to agree to help Hao Ming. Seeing him still maintaining a condescending attitude, she said bluntly that he was the one who needed her cooperation. Yet when she came, he acted like he was all that. Hearing Zhuo Mian say that, Hao Ming quickly took his legs down from being crossed, took out the documents and said that he would meet all of Zhuo Mian's requests, telling her to just name her price. Zhuo Mian bluntly gave a price of 1 million, which shocked Hao Ming, but he still gritted his teeth and agreed. To attract the attention of Mr. and Mrs. Steven, Hao Ming and Zhuo Mian implemented two different plans. Zhuo Mian suddenly felt a little embarrassed to be with Hao Ming, but the two still booked a very romantic service package for Mr. Steven. Afterwards, they pretended to be service staff delivering the wrong items, and Zhuo Mian seized the opportunity to invite Mr. and Mrs. Steven for a drink. Just like that, the four of them became acquainted. Meanwhile, there was a game challenging the chemistry of couples. Hao Ming also wanted to try, but Zhuo Mian refused. She felt very disgusted by Hao Ming's commanding attitude, even after signing a contract with her. Zhuo Mian felt that Hao Ming was always trying to show his sense of superiority, and also said words that demeaned her. She originally intended to leave, but was invited onto the stage by the host to test the chemistry between the two of them. In the water splashing game, Zhuo Mian directly splashed a lot of water on Hao Ming. In the word guessing part, Hao Ming guessed wrong a lot. At the last word, Zhuo Mian immediately pointed to her wrist, wanting to see if he still remembered the last time. Hao Ming didn't hesitate and immediately guessed Band-Aid, finally answering one question correctly. Mr. Steven called Lao Chu, reporting that he had met Zhuo Mian and Hao Ming at the resort and was afraid that Mr. and Mrs. Bakadine might agree with him. Lao Chu asked Steven to stop this plan at all costs. Back in the room, Hao Ming looked out the window, lost in thought. Zhuo Mian wondered. Clearly, Hao Ming had a better plan to convince those two guests to cooperate. Why did he have to come to her and choose a more difficult path? Hao Ming admitted that he had not been approved by the board of directors and was even vetoed by one vote. He said a little self-deprecatingly that it was because he was too arrogant at the time that he ended up like this. Hao Ming told Zhuo Mian that he had actually broken up with his ex-girlfriend for 2 months. That day, it rained very heavily, and she ran over and said that she was pregnant with a child. Hao Ming didn't expect this at all at the time, and his ex-girlfriend also said that she didn't need him to take responsibility. But after giving birth, she passed away during a scuba diving trip with friends. After comparing DNA, the results confirmed that the child was indeed his, so he took the child home to raise. Zhuo Mian asked Hao Ming if he hated Hao Chen's mother, and that his father didn't agree to let him on the board of directors, saying that his private life had problems, although it was a little uncomfortable to hear, but as a father, he would definitely have a way to protect his child. Therefore, his father's actions might have other hidden reasons. Hao Ming realized that Zhuo Mian was enlightening him, so he was very happy, but he still didn't give up and asked who was the investor for her in the end. Zhuo Mian asked Hao Ming to know his place. Now the two of them were just cooperative partners, so don't ask about private matters. She told him to go to sleep early to prepare for tomorrow's work. The next day, Zhuo Mian and Hao Ming went for a walk with Mr. and Mrs. Bakadine, experiencing various types of culture and enjoying sticky rice dumplings. Mr. Stephen tried to sabotage their plan by secretly climbing a tree to take pictures, but unexpectedly he was knocked unconscious by pesticide. Originally intending to follow them secretly, who knew he would bring trouble upon himself. Hao Ming offered to draw Zhuo Mian's eyebrows. Seeing other people nearby, Zhuo Mian had to agree to complete the task, but when she saw his serious appearance, it would be a lie to say she wasn't moved. After a period of contact, Mr. and Mrs. Bakadine felt very comfortable talking with Hao Ming and his wife. Mr. Stevens secretly hid in their room, intending to expose this fake couple, but he was discovered without knowing it. Just as they were talking with Mr. and Mrs. Bakadine, Mr. Stephen brought gifts to visit and intended to expose them, but he ended up hoisting himself with his own petard, getting himself covered in mud, and no one believed any explanation. Fortunately, Hao Ming and Zhuo Mian had planned to decorate the hotel as a surprise, so they escaped Mr. Stevens' questioning. Zhuo Mian looked at the hateful appearance of the person who kept questioning her, even saying hurtful words, and she felt that this person was truly disgusting. Originally intending to joke that his head had been bumped and had problems and let it go, unexpectedly he said brazen words, making Zhuo Mian truly unable to bear it anymore. At the table, Mr. Stephen continued to ask why they didn't wear wedding rings as a couple, which also caught the attention of Mr. and Mrs. Bakadine. Seeing that everyone was wondering, Hao Ming knew that he had to have a reasonable answer. So he improvised on the spot, saying that there had indeed been some problems between them and that they wanted to use this vacation to reconcile. Having said that, he took out the wedding ring on the spot and begged his wife for forgiveness. Hao Ming acted very realistically, and Zhuo Mian looked at his serious appearance, which he had never seen before, and felt a little moved in that moment. Mr. Stevens still didn't give up, thinking that real couples should kiss in this situation. Unexpectedly, the two of them kissed right on the spot. Mr. Stephen felt that the other party was approaching him with a purpose, but they didn't touch on work at all throughout the vacation, which showed that they were very patient and mature. He valued this very much and felt that the two sides could try to cooperate. After the guests had left, Hao Ming immediately grabbed Zhuo Mian's hand. Zhuo Mian stood still, saying that the contract was over and there was no need to continue pretending like that. The atmosphere in the car between Zhuo Mian and Hao Ming was extremely awkward. Hao Ming tried to find something to say to Zhuo Mian. When she heard him mention that the last time they were together like this was during their honeymoon, Zhuo Mian didn't want to reply and told him directly that her sponsor was Jiang Liang. Zhuo Mian deliberately looked at Hao Ming, who didn't realize he was childishly bad-mouthing Jiang Liang, criticizing him as an idler who relied on his older sister to have status. On the contrary, Zhuo Mian found Jiang Liang's advice very helpful, not all like what Hao Ming said. Hearing Zhuo Mian say that she had been looking for investors for a month, Hao Ming was very angry, asking why she didn't tell him sooner. Zhuo Mian was about to answer, but suddenly realized that the person opposite her was nothing to her, and questioned Hao Ming back. She didn't understand why Qiao Lin had told him before that she was looking for a sponsor, but he didn't pay attention at all, and now he turned around to blame her. Being said such stimulating words by Zhuo Mian, Hao Ming childishly brought up old things, and even said that because he saw Zhuo Mian write on the internet that the osmanthus wine her grandmother made was very delicious, that's why he bought it. Zhuo Mian also felt that it didn't matter if everything was exposed. She sarcastically mocked that Hao Ming wasn't nearsighted, yet he wore glasses all day, pretending to be in the style of the old rich. Hearing these words, Hao Ming was so angry that he threw his glasses down in the car. Zhuo Mian angrily told her ex-husband that she didn't covet any gifts from men. She had received a lot before anyway. Hao Ming was even more angry to know that before him, Zhuo Mian had other people. Hearing her say dozens of people, he became even more mad and stopped the car right on the side of the road. Zhuo Mian took the opportunity to get out of the car and left. Hao Chun felt that his father was really dense. It's actually not embarrassing for a son to be rejected by a girl. Hearing his son teach him, Hao Ming proactively sought out Zhuo Mian to talk. But seeing her attitude was too cold, he didn't know where to start. And finally, the conversation ended quickly. Now, every day of Zhuo Mian's life passed very fulfilling. She happily called her grandmother, introducing her studio and her companions. After finding an investor, everyone's studio was also expanded, and they had more courage to strive forward. In Hao Ming's head, he was only thinking about how to not get divorced. Every time he heard about the 8th of this month, he became scared as if he was haunted. Hao Ming's father suddenly discovered that the land that the company intended to plant had been bought by his son 10 years ago. He suddenly realized that his son had a pretty good vision for future planning. When he heard his father say that he would follow the process to get back that piece of land, Hao Ming didn't say a word, frankly expressing that if the company needed it, he was willing to contribute unconditionally. Hao Ming told his father that now he understood how much pressure he and Hao Chun had put on his parents with their mistakes, and also brought bad influence to the company. The more he grew up, the more he felt the tolerance and boundless love that his parents had for him. Hearing this, his father gave a condition. If his son did well this time, he would definitely agree to let him on the board of directors. But the higher the position, the greater the criticism he would hear, hoping that his son could quickly adapt and accept it. Yanni Fong was developing very well, and Zhang Liang also personally came to the scene to supervise. To avoid the divorce, Hao Ming didn't answer Zhuo Mian's phone calls, and even lied that he was going on a business trip. Zhuo Mian felt that something was wrong, so she went to the company to block Hao Ming. She grabbed him, but Hao Ming pretended to have a heart attack. Zhuo Mian didn't want to expose his petty tricks, so she played along with him. Hao Ming was a little too much. To prolong the time, he went to check everything from ears, nose, and throat to eyes. Zhuo Mian pulled Hao Ming to the Civil Affairs Bureau, but they were closed, so they had to wait until the 8th of next month. Zhuo Mian angrily left, while Hao Ming happily shook hands with the staff at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Zhang Liang told Zhuo Mian that when he was a child, he liked to watch movies very much, but because he lost his parents and his older sister was very busy, he had liked collecting things related to photography since he was a child. Zhang Liang secretly took a group photo of himself and Zhuo Mian. Mei Ruo went to find Zhang Liang, saying straight that he had tricked her into riding the electric car last time. It turned out to be fake. Being exposed, Zhang Liang was very embarrassed and tried to explain, but Zhuo Mian didn't care at all. Fang Lei's actions were very perverted. She didn't hesitate to want Hao Ming to hit her in order to attract his attention. Zhang Liang followed Zhuo Mian closely, constantly explaining that he only cared about those girls and encouraged them to live positively. But the more he said, the more he felt like a scumbag, hurriedly trying to salvage his image, saying that he hadn't met the person he liked yet, and that he would treat the person he loved very sincerely. Zhuo Mian understood Jiang Liang's intention, and she expressed her gratitude for sharing his film dream today, which showed that he was not a lonely person. However, in her heart, Zhang Liang was a very good investor, and she didn't want any other factors to affect that good image. Hao Ming secretly stood nearby observing, his heart full of jealousy. Seeing Zhuo Mian intending to leave, he declared his ownership right in front of Zhang Liang. But Zhuo Mian was different from before. She left straight away, ignoring the two men arguing. Hao Ming chased Zhuo Mian into the elevator, constantly pressing the close and open door buttons, saying that today he was very happy to hear her reject Zhang Liang. Zhuo Mian told him that she would minimize the impact of public opinion to ensure that she could smoothly get her divorce certificate next time, and told him to take his hand off. Hao Ming very cunningly put his foot to block the elevator door. Zhuo Mian kicked his foot straight out without thinking. Xiaolin advised Zhuo Mian to think carefully about the feelings between her and Hao Ming. Zhuo Mian replied that their relationship was not pure from the beginning. It's good to break up like this. There's no need to think more about it. Although Zhuo Mian said harsh words to her sister on the outside, she still couldn't let go of Hao Ming in her heart. The memories from last time with Hao Ming kept swirling around in her head and couldn't be erased. Because of Hao Ming, Fang Lei was immersed in alcohol every day to the point that Wei Ping couldn't stand to watch anymore. Zhuo Mian told her partners that the first batch of goods, when opening, must be the most exquisite and meticulous products, which is our strength, so that we can create a sensation immediately and attract more customers. The partners also discussed the details to pay attention to. When she heard her older sister say that she goes to help beautiful girls every day, looking no different from a bad guy, Zhang Liang frankly said that he only wanted to help Zhuo Mian. His older sister confirmed again and showed that she hated him helping Zhuo Mian because their two companies were in the process of negotiating cooperation and this could harm their common interests. However, Zhang Liang didn't care about that. Hao Chen invited both Hao Ming and Zhuo Mian to act as parents to help him choose a horse, and also wanted his sister-in-law to stay so he could have private space with his brother. Zhuo Mian felt very embarrassed, gave a few instructions, and then left. Hao Chan saw that his older brother was really hard to talk to. Clearly, he had done something wrong. What was wrong with just saying sorry? But his older brother always maintained that arrogant appearance, so it was very difficult for his sister-in-law to forgive him. Yilan also told her son that Zhuo Mian truly loved this family, had sincerely cultivated it, and her feelings for her son were also very real. Therefore, she really hoped that her son could pursue to bring this good daughter-in-law back. Sometimes, it's okay to make mistakes. Just lower yourself and apologize. Lin Tao got off work and saw Yiming being intimate with another girl, and took a picture to send to Xiao Lin in an attempt to break up their relationship. Xiao Lin saw the photo but didn't say much. She believed that Yiming wasn't that kind of person. Lin Tao was still stubborn and didn't wake up, thinking that Xiao Lin was his fiancée. Xiao Lin seriously told Lin Tao that she was living very well now, starting a business with her younger sister, and also hoped that he would have a better life. Hao Ming heard his assistant analyze that if Zhuo Mian didn't love him, she wouldn't have helped him coordinate to please Mr. and Mrs. Bakadine. Xiao Lin even saw in her dreams the scene of Yiming being intimate with another girl, so she directly found him and said that if he already had a satisfactory work partner, she was willing to withdraw. Yiming knew that Xiao Lin had heard false rumors and was about to explain, but she didn't dare to listen and left. Zhuo Mian saw that Xiao Lin was unhappy, so she advised her to face Yiming directly. That's how it is in love. You have to face it honestly. The more you avoid, the more you can't escape. Yiming held a bouquet of flowers and came, and when he saw Zhuo Mian, he concernedly asked if Xiao Lin was there. Zhuo Mian suggested that he should think carefully about the problems that Xiao Lin had talked about. Hao Ming made an appointment to meet Yiming, and the two men discussed strategies to help each other overcome the ordeal of love. Yiming told Hao Ming that the smile on Zhuo Mian's face on her wedding day was a happy smile. Yiming and Hao Ming became partners in progress on the road to pursuing love. Finally, Zhuo Mian's studio had good news, and work was progressing smoothly. Zhuo Mian received a call from Hao Chun, reporting that there would be a parent-teacher conference next week and inviting her to school. Without hesitation, Zhuo Mian agreed immediately. Meanwhile, Hao Ming and Yiming were discussing ways to pursue their girlfriends, and even used a philosophical perspective to analyze more deeply the magical feeling called love. When he received a call from Zhuo Mian asking him to go to the parent-teacher conference, Hao Ming intended to reply by texting that he would have time tomorrow. But Yiming next to him quickly stopped him, thinking that this was a good opportunity to proactively meet. Why not take advantage of it to increase the chance of meeting? Hao Ming seemed to wake up and hurriedly went to Zhuo Mian's place. His attitude was more amiable than before, and his tone also became gentle. When Zhuo Mian invited him to go to the parent-teacher conference together, he casually agreed. Using the excuse that his phone didn't have internet, he wandered around looking for Wi-Fi, taking the opportunity to observe whether there were traces of other men in Zhuo Mian's house. Zhuo Mian felt that Hao Ming was a bit strange, but when she saw his small tricks, she couldn't bear to expose him. The two just kept silent and understood each other for a long time. Hao Ming intended to stay for dinner, but Zhuo Mian saw him off. At that moment, the doorbell rang like a savior. He opened the door and saw Xiao Lin. He shamelessly called sister and claimed to be the owner of the house, offering water to the guest. Hao Ming originally wanted to integrate into Zhuo Mian's group of friends to understand her better, but unexpectedly, he was subtly ridiculed by them. They said that men are really strange. When people like you chase them away, and now that they don't like you anymore, you shamelessly stay. Hearing these words, Hao Ming felt extremely embarrassed, but Zhuo Mian saved him some face. Afterwards, he found Yiming to drink and drank more and more. Yiming advised him that people must be able to endure failure, although it's sad to be criticized, but what they say is not wrong. As for Zhuo Mian, when Hao Ming's assistant gave her the old photos hoping to move her, she was no longer the woman she used to be. Even knowing that Hao Ming had wanted to find her countless times, she didn't mention the word forgiveness now. While cleaning up, Jiang Liang received a call from Hao Ming. Jiang Liang was secretly happy because although Hao Ming had connections and resources now, this wife no longer belonged to him. Hao Ming declared to Jiang Liang that he was not divorced yet and that he shouldn't think of fishing in troubled waters. Jiang Liang thought that he was the one who had witnessed Zhuo Mian grow up step by step. Hao Ming firmly stated that he could give Zhuo Mian the future she wanted. Mr. Stephen found another partner, trying to prove that the feelings between Hao Ming and Zhuo Mian had cracked and they were about to get divorced. If that didn't work, they would attack the Yan Yifeng clothing store. Xiao Lin saw Hao Ming come to ask her to say good things for him, but emotional matters are difficult to intervene in no matter how close you are. Seeing that Xiao Lin didn't budge, Hao Ming had to mention Yiming. Xiao Lin immediately surrendered and secretly revealed that Zhuo Mian would be working overtime tomorrow, but Jiang Liang would also be at the company. Hao Ming's expression immediately changed, but the next day, he still shamelessly came to the company. Zhuo Mian and Jiang Liang were in a meeting when Hao Ming came in and sat down to listen. He realized that Zhuo Mian had grown very quickly, but he looked down on Jiang Liang and bluntly said the key point that Jiang Liang would never sign a permanent contract with Zhuo Mian. Hao Ming explained to Zhuo Mian that once she was controlled by the investment community, she would have to continuously expand her branches, leading to the quality of the products not being guaranteed and gradually ruining the brand's reputation. Zhuo Mian also felt that what he said made sense, that she should take the initiative in her own hands instead of letting the capitalists decide. Hao Ming believed that Zhuo Mian should focus on researching the core of the product, creating a unique identity. Hearing Hao Ming's analysis, Jiang Liang also had to nod in agreement. Seeing the tense atmosphere, Zhuo Mian found an excuse to slip away. Meanwhile, Yiming bought a lot of daily necessities for Qiao Lin, making her secretly moved. He asked Qiao Lin if she had thought carefully about the relationship between the two of them. Qiao Lin said that she wanted Yiming to think carefully, but he confessed his feelings in a characteristic and straightforward way, giving Qiao Lin the feeling of being proposed to. Finally, the two of them came together. Qiao Lin wore the handmade clothes from a shop, and Zhuo Mian immediately took out her phone to call her grandmother to show off the results. Zhuo Mian felt that every stitch on the outfit had the mark of history, and believed that her grandmother would definitely understand. The grandmother was very happy to see her two granddaughters showing off their achievements. Zhuo Mian and Qiao Lin didn't expect that their grandmother could also say the trendy phrases on the internet. Zhuo Mian told Qiao Lin that every time she called, her grandmother answered immediately. Both of them hoped that they could start a successful business and buy a small house of their own to welcome her grandmother to live with them. On the way to pick up goods, Zhuo Mian's car broke down. She hurriedly called her partner. Hao Ming happened to pass by the company, heard the story, and hurriedly drove to pick up Zhuo Mian. He didn't hesitate to lower himself to help the driver unload the goods. Seeing Hao Ming's change, Zhuo Mian's heart suddenly warmed. Looking at his hardworking appearance, she suddenly felt that this man was still very reliable and that she had not misjudged him. However, she didn't show anything on the outside, only proactively offered him water to drink. Hearing Zhuo Mian tease him, Hao Ming hurriedly explained that it was because the company was having a team building activity, so he had free time to drop by. Zhuo Mian said that she didn't want to rely on Hao Ming's reputation and prestige to consolidate her position. Now, she could finally stand on her own 2 feet and didn't want to depend on anyone, let alone with the shackles of the past again. When she heard Zhuo Mian tell him not to target Jiang Liang, Hao Ming was a little unhappy. But when he heard her say that the problems that Jiang Liang considered were not unreasonable, he agreed to get along with Jiang Liang. Afterwards, because he was too tired, Hao Ming fell asleep and put his head on Zhuo Mian. She intended to push him away, but seeing that he seemed tired, she stopped. The finished batch of clothes from Yifang was finally transported to the company. Just when they thought they could start doing business, they discovered that the quality of these clothes was completely different from what had been agreed upon. At the same time, many bloggers appeared on the internet attacking and defaming Yan Yifang. Zhuo Mian noticed that there were more and more customers canceling orders. It seemed that someone was pulling the strings from behind. Jiang Liang also knew about it. When she heard Jiang Liang say to just move forward boldly, and that he would take care of the money if needed, Zhuo Mian was both moved and felt embarrassed. She thought Jiang Liang was a very righteous person, but still affirmed that personal relationships were personal relationships, business was business, and they needed to be clearly distinguished. Therefore, she didn't want Jiang Liang to clean up this mess. Zhuo Mian thought that at least this matter wasn't a bad thing. It helped her to see the face of the investor clearly. Jiang Liang said that he was really jealous because Zhuo Mian had met a good investor. Zhuo Mian replied that because she was good, she met someone better. Returning to the company, seeing that everyone was gloomy, she encouraged everyone to unite, let the netizens freely speak out, and the company was willing to accept all criticism and comments. Zhuo Mian declared that they must start designing the 3rd batch of products. Qiao Lin saw Director Zhang demanding early payment for the goods and felt like she was being squeezed dry. When she heard a partner intending to report this matter to Zhuo Mian, she stopped her out of concern for her younger sister. Mr. Stephen went to find Zhuo Mian and said that Yan Yifang had so many problems, there must be a reason behind it. He suggested that Zhuo Mian announce that her feelings for Hao Ming had broken down, and then the resort business contract would still be valid, and even offered a very high price. At this time, Zhuo Mian remembered what Jiang Liang said, that this matter must have someone behind the scenes adding fuel to the fire, and she began to suspect that it was related to Mr. Stephen. When the assistant reported that Mr. Stephen had found Zhuo Mian, Hao Ming still firmly believed that she would never sell him out. Lin Tao came to visit Qiao Lin and Zhuo Mian and happened to see an investor arguing loudly with Qiao Lin. He immediately used his financial expertise to confront the person about the books. Seeing Lin Tao calculating the books overnight, Xiao Lin felt that he had changed a lot. Hao Ming welcomed Mr. Stephen's wife. When she learned that Zhuo Mian was having difficulties, she proactively offered to help. It's true that misfortunes never come singly. On this side, the clothes had just had an accident, and on the other side, the suppliers had come to demand payment for the rest of the goods. They also said that the company's assets had been frozen and demanded that the money be returned to them immediately. Zhuo Mian realized that these people came here with a purpose, deliberately putting pressure on them. However, she couldn't let them leave so easily. Otherwise, the business wouldn't be able to continue later. Zhuo Mian saw that the partners seemed to be fishing in troubled waters, and she knew that they were not the best partners. They knew clearly what the quality of her first batch of clothes was, yet now they came here to make a fuss, pretending to be innocent. Zhuo Mian said bluntly, if they didn't want to cooperate anymore, they should just pay the rest of the amount and leave. Just at this moment, Mr. Bakadin's wife came to the Yin Yifang clothing store. Seeing the celebrity appear, the partner's attitude immediately changed, becoming humble, no longer as aggressive as before. Hao Ming now sat down to talk about the rights and wrongs with them. Seeing that General Manager Shun also had connections here, they flipped their faces, hurriedly saying that they still wanted to continue to cooperate. When Mr. Bakadin's wife asked if she was having difficulties, Zhuo Mian didn't directly admit it, but only said that she had the ability to solve it. Mr. Bakadin's wife was very confident, thinking that Zhuo Mian would definitely overcome the difficulties. She happily tried on clothes and then left. Hao Ming offered to invest capital for Zhuo Mian to produce clothes. Xiao Lin and many others, after watching the short video combining ancient costumes and fashion that they shot, though very beautiful, worried that customers wouldn't buy it. Zhuo Mian confidently said that they had put all their heart and technique into each product. Customers would definitely like it. Lin Tao was very good at matching accounting books, and in a flash he found loopholes in the finance. Zhuo Mian wanted to keep Lin Tao, but was afraid that Xiao Lin would be unhappy, so she told her sister in advance. But unexpectedly her sister didn't care at all. Zhuo Mian told Lin Tao that if he didn't have a job and found it suitable here, she hoped that he could join them. Xiao Lin was also very generous in agreeing to let Lin Tao stay. Zhuo Mian and everyone were preparing to produce the next batch of goods when suddenly a major partner canceled the order. She and her friends wanted to meet the person in charge to explain, but the other party refused to show up. Zhuo Mian clearly understood that if this matter wasn't resolved properly, the outside media would make a big fuss, causing great disadvantage to Yin Yifang. Hao Ming used the interview on Z-Wei's program to promote Zhuo Mian's Yin Yifang and called on the public to learn the truth before making a decision. On the program, Hao Ming directly shared that his wife's work could help women in rural areas return to their hometowns to start businesses and even help many families reunite. Hearing these words of Hao Ming, Zhuo Mian was very moved and secretly gave him points. She felt that thanks to the help of her friends, they had gained the upper hand in terms of public opinion and should proactively attack, using the public opinion on the internet to fight against the person behind the scenes. Mr. Stevens suddenly discovered that rumors were circulating about him on the internet and felt quite a headache. Finally, Yin Yifang's qualification to participate in the competition was restored. Mr. Steven went to see Hao Ming, expressing his desire to cooperate with Jinda. He said that he saw in General Manager Shun's wife a persistent and resilient effort, so he was very much looking forward to the cooperation in the future. Lin Tao and Yiming met, and everyone thought they would argue. Unexpectedly, Yiming took the initiative to shake hands and make peace with Lin Tao. Zhuo Mian worked hard to work overtime, hoping to achieve better results in this competition. Lin Tao also gave up on Xiao Lin, hoping she would be happy. Zhuo Mian devoted herself to designing costumes and also arranged the music and rhythm for the performance, but still felt that there was some point that wasn't really moving. Hao Ming came, and Zhuo Mian shared that she wanted to stage this performance as a story so that everyone could understand the brand better. Hao Ming gave some suggestions. Zhuo Mian suddenly flashed an idea. She said that this performance was both inheritance and nurturing. Yin Yifang achieved very good results in the competition. Zhuo Mian originally intended to thank Hao Ming, but deliberately teased him. She alluded to Jiang Liang and also acted very intimately with him. Having not received a word of praise, Hao Ming was both angry and jealous. Seeing the two of them being so intimate, he couldn't restrain himself. His expression looked really ugly. Hao Ming angrily found Yiming to complain. Yiming, sitting opposite him, was also stunned when he saw Zhuo Mian and Jiang Liang laughing and talking happily. The story seemed to have no end. Even so, he comforted Hao Ming, saying that maybe they were just talking about work, don't take it to heart. But Hao Ming looked at them, leaning close to each other, their eyes almost glued to each other, and the nameless fire in his heart burned even more fiercely. Yiming also felt that Jiang Liang was going a bit too far. Hao Ming just muttered that he wanted to give Jiang Liang a beating. Everyone around also realized that the atmosphere was a bit off, so they started offering each other drinks. Xiao Lin and Jiang Liang were chatting very happily again. Hao Ming, with the mentality of adding fuel to the fire, signaled to Yiming to look at Xiao Lin. At first, Yiming even said that that's what his girlfriend's personality was like. She was happy when she saw other people talking happily. But in the end, he couldn't sit still anymore and decided to proactively win his girlfriend back. Hao Ming repeatedly sought out Zhuo Mian to offer a drink, but was blocked every time. Feeling extremely embarrassed, he took the initiative to invite Zhuo Mian in front of everyone. After drinking the glass of wine, he angrily left and complained to Yiming that he would never pay attention to that woman again. He had helped her so much, yet she wouldn't even give him a drink. As for Zhuo Mian, she complained to Xiao Lin that Hao Ming had never cared about her before. So now that the two of them had broken up, she didn't care about him anymore either. At this time, Hao Ming was completely drunk, constantly raising his phone, as if wanting Zhuo Mian to call him. Yiming was embarrassed for his drunk friend. Xiao Lin also felt that she couldn't control Zhuo Mian when she was drunk and started making trouble. The next morning, Zhuo Mian and Hao Ming woke up and were shocked to find themselves lying on the same bed. Hao Ming was very worried, afraid that Zhuo Mian would be angry. It turned out that last night, they were both drunk. Yiming had taken Hao Ming to Zhuo Mian's house, and so the two drunks met and made a mess of the house. Zhuo Mian pointed to a photo, wanting to know who that person was. Hao Ming took off his shirt and said that it was him. But she wondered where their wedding photos were, and he pleased his wife by carrying the photo down. Seeing him marrying, Zhuo Mian was happy again and invited him to sleep. Yiming and Xiao Lin thought everything was settled here, but who knew that this couple would be holding spoons and scooping fish and even kissing endlessly. Xiao Lin and Yiming were therefore frightened. When they heard Xiao Lin and Yiming recount what happened last night, Zhuo Mian and Hao Ming felt so ashamed that they didn't know where to hide their faces. The more embarrassed they were, the more they tried to appear busy, both of them constantly looking for things. When she was about to leave, Hao Ming invited Zhuo Mian to stay for dinner. When the two were about to cook dog food, Yulan arrived. Seeing Zhuo Mian and Hao Ming together, she was very happy. While eating, Yulan wanted to ask Zhuo Mian to participate in Hao Chen's horse race. Zhuo Mian didn't agree or refuse, just hurriedly left. Yulan signaled Hao Ming to see her off. On the way, Zhuo Mian told Hao Ming that she wanted to make more traditional costumes and would definitely develop her studio better in the future. Hao Ming invited her to celebrate and conveniently invited Mr. and Mrs. Bakadine as well. Zhuo Mian was wanting to promote the technique of dyeing fabric with plants, an intangible cultural heritage, when the leader of the ancient town came to find her and offered to cooperate, just as they wanted, and even officially sent an invitation letter. Xiao Lin exclaimed that Zhuo Mian was really getting what she wished for. Guan Guan came to invite the two general managers to dinner, but unexpectedly both of them refused. It's true that singletons are still the most pitiful. Mr. and Mrs. Bakadine had arrived, and Hao Ming was still waiting for Zhuo Mian. Mr. Stephen called Zhuo Mian, saying that the cooperation between them and Jinda was only a 3-month probation, so her husband was just trying to take this opportunity to keep her and advised her to think again. After listening, Zhuo Mian felt a little discouraged. When she stood at the door, she overheard the conversation between Hao Ming and Mr. Bakadine and felt that what Mr. Stevens said seemed not wrong. A person who always puts benefits first like Hao Ming was very likely just trying to exploit the value in her. Hao Ming didn't understand why Zhuo Mian was cold to him. Zhuo Mian said straight that she had seen through his purpose. Hao Ming tried to explain, but Zhuo Mian felt that she had never seen through his heart and didn't even know what kind of person he was. She thought that the two of them were always suspecting each other, so it was not suitable to be husband and wife. After being questioned by Zhuo Mian, Hao Ming seemed very unconfident. Hearing his assistant praise him as a generous and talented person, he only thought it was flattery, but in his heart he couldn't help but feel happy. The assistant suggested that he go to Gubei town to relax and take Hao Chen along because the scenery there was charming and there were also some company projects. Hearing that there was a fabric dyeing and food festival, Hao Ming immediately decided to put aside his work and go right away. Meanwhile, Xiao Lin advised Zhuo Mian to just go study and relax with peace of mind. She would take care of everything at the company. As soon as she arrived, Zhuo Mian was greeted by department head Zhang. Hao Ming had arrived a few days earlier and even learned how to row a boat. Stepping into the village, Zhuo Mian felt the fresh air and friendly people, very suitable for vacation. Hao Ming seemed to be familiar with the neighbors here. Zhuo Mian suddenly saw Hao Ming. The two made eye contact for a moment, but didn't say anything. In the time that followed, she rode an electric car to stroll around and learn about the local fabric dyeing techniques. When Hao Ming happened to appear, Zhuo Mian couldn't help but be stunned. When it was time to divide into groups, because the other members were all couples, she had to be in the same group as Hao Ming. He seemed very knowledgeable and practiced skillfully in class. Clearly, he had prepared in advance. Zhuo Mian felt a little awkward being with Hao Ming, because the two inevitably had physical contact. Zhuo Mian and Hao Ming's fabric dyeing work was very successful and praised by the teacher. When she got home, Zhuo Mian discovered that Hao Ming was also staying here. She thought that he did it on purpose with an impure purpose, and even secretly followed her. Xiao Lin knew that Hao Ming was staying right next to Zhuo Mian's room, and felt that if it was someone she liked, it was super glue, but if it was someone she hated, it was really trash. Hearing her close friend describe Hao Ming like that, Zhuo Mian felt a little pitiful for him. Lin Tao came to find Xiao Lin, and the two seemed quite awkward. Just then, Yiming arrived, and Lin Tao's expression changed a little when he saw Xiao Lin leave with Yiming. The next day, Zhuo Mian didn't see Hao Ming come to class. She became distracted to the point that she couldn't answer the teacher's questions. She went to inquire about his news, originally thinking that he came here because of her, but then realized that she was being sentimental. However, after hearing the shop staff explain, she suspected that Hao Ming was implying something. Hao Ming told his assistant that if he took the initiative to attack now, it was very likely that Zhuo Mian would get tired of him. Hearing that there was a festival in the square, Zhuo Mian curiously went to see. Hao Ming was playing the role of Chun Shimi on stage. Zhuo Mian thought to herself that he was really achieving in the role. While performing, Hao Ming saw Zhuo Mian and hurriedly left the stage, saying that because she didn't like his appearance, he had to leave. Zhuo Mian didn't accept his trick. She got on her small electric car and left. Hao Ming felt that he seemed to have hoisted himself with his own petard. Every day, Hao Ming and Zhuo Mian went to the fabric dyeing class together. Zhuo Mian saw a very beautiful batik notebook and wanted to contact the artist who made it, but unexpectedly he had washed his hands 3 years ago because of some things. Hao Ming then led Zhuo Mian to visit the old artist. Zhuo Mian frankly suggested that he transfer the copyright of his previous batik techniques, but unexpectedly his expression changed, and he even knocked over the teacup and said that he didn't want to be involved with this industry anymore. At this time, Zhuo Mian realized that the old artist only knew about batik, and the person who really held the secret was his wife. She guessed that maybe he was sulking with his wife. Xiao Lin was sick, and Lin Tao thought that she should pay more attention to her health and proactively offered to take her to the hospital. Lin Tao helped Xiao Lin answer Yiming's phone, explained the reason, and also told Yiming not to misunderstand. Hao Ming tried to persuade the old artist to continue making batik. Zhuo Mian said straight that it wasn't that he didn't dare to do it, but that he didn't dare to face his heart. But he still chased the two of them away. Zhuo Mian felt that the old artist was like someone pretending to be asleep, and they could never wake up a person like that. Hao Ming used this matter to allude that his mood during the divorce was similar. Zhuo Mian pretended not to hear and continued to sightsee. After learning that Hao Chan was secretly brought here by Hao Ming to skip school, Zhuo Mian realized that the boy's mischievous personality was learned from his older brother. After this frank conversation, the relationship between Hao Ming and Zhuo Mian seemed to have become a little closer. Zhuo Mian went to find the master's ex-wife, hoping that she could help the two of them resolve the conflict and get back together. After searching many times, she finally met the owner of the batik fabric shop. To quickly build a relationship, Zhuo Mian bought a piece of fabric from the shop. She told the owner that she knew a very talented master, but he couldn't find the blue in his heart anymore. Hearing this, the owner realized that this girl was trying to persuade her to get back with her husband, so she angrily left. Hao Ming went to see the batik fabric exhibition, but covered himself up very carefully, wearing a face mask. Zhuo Mian felt that Hao Ming was acting secretly just like the master, and he even made a VIP annual card for this place just to pursue his wife. After picking up the master's wife's hairpin, Zhuo Mian knew that she still had the master in her heart, but she just didn't admit it on the outside. Zhuo Mian and Hao Ming decided to split up, each going their own way to persuade the master and his wife to meet, hoping they could explain everything to each other. However, the meeting between the two wasn't smooth, and they hurriedly left again. Feeling that the situation wasn't good, Zhuo Mian and Hao Ming continued to split up and persuade them. Hao Ming used his own story to persuade the master to go find his wife. He thought that the fact that the master's wife still kept the hairpin proved that she still had the master in her heart. As a man, he should be generous, proactively pursue and humble himself a little. There was nothing embarrassing about it. On this side, Zhuo Mian also used Hao Ming's complex feelings for her to persuade the master's wife. She said that she herself didn't know whether his feelings for her were sincere or just for the sake of benefits. But after many days of reflection, she realized that both of them needed to bravely face it. She also advised the master's wife to bravely pursue her love. The master's wife felt that her husband didn't even have the courage to admit his mistakes. So how could they reconcile? Just then, the master appeared and proactively admitted his mistakes. Finally, the two reconciled to Zhuo Mian and Hao Ming's delight. In the end, Hao Ming also put aside his pride to perform on stage. On stage, he hinted that he was willing to change and hoped his wife would give him a chance, his eyes constantly looking towards Zhuo Mian. He tried to endure the weight of many people pressing on him in the performance, which made Zhuo Mian feel sorry when she saw it. Hearing Hao Ming's deep confession, Zhuo Mian couldn't hold back her tears. When he stepped down from the stage, she ran over and hugged him tightly. And so the two officially made up, sharing a passionate kiss. Meanwhile, Lin Tao advised Xiao Lin to temporarily suspend the current contract because the company couldn't afford to pay compensation at the moment in order to avoid troubles later. Fang Lei was reminiscing about her college memories between her older sister, and Hao Ming. At that time, her older sister and Hao Ming were admitted to the University of London while she studied preparatory at a boarding school. Then she saw the two loving each other for a while, until one day the two broke up and her older sister found out she was pregnant. Unexpectedly, that child was with the person she loved. Meanwhile, Mr. Stephen was scolded by his superiors but couldn't argue back. Lin Tao finally solved the problem of the company's capital. He brought the contract to Xiao Lin to stamp. Because she trusted Lin Tao too much, Xiao Lin didn't realize his unusual expression. On this side, Hao Ming told his father that he would strictly control the cooperation activities in foreign markets to bring the products to the international market. His father felt that his son had grown a lot and wanted to let him on the board of directors, but he was also very curious why Hao Ming had such a big change in a short time. Zhang Liang gave Zhuo Mian a large bouquet of flowers. He felt even more that this girl was special and attractive when he saw her fascinated appearance when telling stories about batik fabric. Even knowing that Zhuo Mian and Hao Ming had made up, Zhang Liang still frankly expressed that if their feelings wavered, he was willing to be the person waiting. On this side, Mr. Stephen asked his subordinates to investigate more about the child that Fang Lei had mentioned, suspecting that there was something hidden behind it. Hearing the news that Hao Ming and Zhuo Mian had reconciled, Fang Lei felt very uneasy. That night, Zhuo Mian officially made up and returned home. At that time, Hao Chan was very happy and took his painting for her to see. Zhuo Mian was very moved when she saw that every painting Hao Chun drew was related to her. The three of Hao Ming, Zhuo Mian, and Hao Chun had happy moments like before again. Zhuo Mian felt warm-hearted when she saw the family painting drawn by Hao Chun. Seeing his older brother taking care of Zhuo Mian thoughtfully, Hao Chun was also somewhat relieved. Uncle Chu came to visit Hao Ming. Hao Ming nostalgically recalled that when he was a child, he would go to his house to play, and every time he would be served a Hong Pao tea. When he heard Uncle Chu say that he strongly supported him to act boldly, Hao Ming felt very happy in his heart. Meanwhile, Wei Dong was secretly investigating the background of a mysterious child at Gene Company. Mr. Stephen and Uncle Chu were secretly planning, intending to use this child to make a big deal out of it, preventing Hao Ming from joining the board of directors. Wei Ping went around the company to listen, and even boldly guessed that Hao Ming's current nominal younger brother was very likely the illegitimate child in the rumors. Wei Ping sneaked into the office, intending to steal confidential documents. Hao Ming didn't notice anything unusual when he woke up to drink water. After many attempts to enter the safe's password, Wei Ping finally used the anniversary of the wedding to unlock it, obtained the relevant documents, and immediately posted them on the internet, causing the rumors to spread everywhere. At the crucial moment when Hao Ming was about to join the board of directors, this news suddenly exploded, causing his situation to turn in an unfavorable direction. At school, Hao Chun also heard the news that he was an illegitimate child. After searching on the internet, he learned that the nominal older brother was actually his biological father, a truth that he couldn't accept for a moment. Hao Ming's father was holding a board of directors meeting when he heard the shareholders whispering below. They thought that this scandal being released at a sensitive time would seriously affect the company's stock and image. Hao Ming saw Uncle Chu proactively step forward to mediate when everyone was arguing. It looked like he was stabilizing the situation, but something was very strange. Just then, Hao Chun suddenly barged into the meeting room, questioning his older brother if he was his biological father and why he didn't acknowledge him. Hao Chun was extremely agitated, and when he heard his older brother tell him to go home first, he felt very stunned. Hao Ming told Hao Chun not to think wildly about the rumors on the internet and to definitely wait for him to come home. At the meeting, Uncle Chu put pressure, saying that this matter was originally a family matter and shouldn't be interfered with, but now it had caused such a big impact. As soon as Hao Ming entered, he saw his father was unwell, so he hurriedly took him away. His father also felt a little headache, but still told his son to actively buy back shares and keep his spirits up. Afterwards, Hao Chun jumped out of the car and ran away, and Hao Ming rushed to find him. Wei Ping found Hao Chun, using the fact that the boy wanted to know about his father to trick him into going to the suburb. When he saw that this person said he would take him to find his mother, but instead went to a desolate place, Hao Chun was a little suspicious but still followed. Yulan was very worried about Hao Chun, but Hao Ming reassured his mother and promised that he would solve everything. Just as Hao Ming was about to leave, he received a photo of Hao Chen's satchel from an unknown number. When Wei Ping saw Hao Ming arrive, he hurriedly ran away. Hao Ming immediately chased after him and, at the same time, told his wife to call the police and finally found Hao Chun. Just then, many reporters rushed over, surrounding them to ask the truth. In front of all the reporters, Hao Ming admitted that he was Hao Chen's biological father. To protect the boy, Zhuo Mian also stepped forward and claimed to be Hao Chen's mother. Returning home, Hao Chun didn't say a word, didn't even eat or drink, making the whole family very worried. But ironically, the shareholders in the company were making a fuss, forcing Hao Ming to return to the company. Fang Lei, when she learned that it was Wei Ping who had revealed Hao Chen's background, hated him very much. Uncle Chu also no longer hid his purpose, directly making things difficult for the Shen family, declaring that he currently held the highest share and demanded that Hao Ming's father resign. At this time, Hao Ming saw the true face of this uncle. Wei Ping was Uncle Chu's adopted son. Hearing this news, Hao Ming's father immediately fainted. Yulan wholeheartedly believed that her husband could overcome this difficult period and that the family would be happy again. Zhuo Mian at home advised Hao Chun, while Li Ming also came to visit Hao Ming's father and hoped that he could truly overcome this tribulation. Lin Tao invited Xiao Lin to dinner and even asked the waiters to close the door of the room. Xiao Lin didn't realize Lin Tao's complicated expression, only engrossed in picking up food and saying that she was very happy that Lin Tao could now start a business with them and also help the company manage the books. Lin Tao said that he had worked very hard to get to where he was today, then suddenly revealed his ugly face. He said that the company was short of capital and also had legal problems, then produced a contract that had been swapped out before, forcing Xiao Lin to give him an answer today. Otherwise, the company's legal representative, Zhuo Mian, would be at risk of going to jail. Xiao Lin said that this was a big deal and asked for a day to think about it. Hao Ming's father suddenly became seriously ill, the critical situation making the whole family very tense. Yulan hurriedly called her husband. After the surgery, she always stayed by her husband's bedside. Zhuo Mian received the news and rushed to the hospital to comfort Yulan. Feeling that the family had no mind to take care of Hao Chun lately, Yulan had to hand the boy over to Zhuo Mian. Hao Ming confided to Zhuo Mian that for many years he hadn't really cared about his father. Because he was busy caring for his career, his father had to bear too much pressure for him. Now, when he suddenly collapsed, he felt that his heart could hardly bear it. Xiao Lin's heart was very sad. On one side was her own younger sister. On the other side was the stupid mistake she had caused. She knew she couldn't let her younger sister worry, so she always tried to avoid everything, including her boyfriend. After what happened, Hao Chun was severely hit. His mood was still extremely agitated. Yulan originally intended to take Hao Chun out for a change of scenery, but when he saw a reporter holding a camera, his mood became extremely tense, and he even fainted in the room. Yulan and everyone in the house were very panicked and hurriedly called the doctor. The doctor said that because he was mentally down and hadn't eaten anything for several days, he had hypoglycemia, he just needed a little infusion to be okay. Yulan said that she could take care of her husband at the hospital and hoped that her son and Zhuo Mian could quickly help Hao Chun because the boy's matter was not simple and needed to pay close attention. Hao Chun followed Hao Ming and Zhuo Mian back to the hometown to find his grandmother. Now, Hao Chun was very disgusted with this nominal older brother, to the point that when he picked up food for him, he felt nauseous, so he put down his bowl and left. Zhuo Mian was somewhat relieved to hear her grandmother say that she was very satisfied with her current life. She told her about Hao Chun and said that the child needed a little time to accept, hoping that she would also help her. The grandmother agreed, thinking that some things needed to use sincerity to exchange for sincerity. Hearing that his father's condition had stabilized, Hao Ming felt very relieved. Hao Chun was silent every day. The grandmother also didn't spoil him, only saying that if he wanted to eat here, he had to work. Zhuo Mian also chimed in to provoke Hao Chun. As expected, Hao Chun fell for the trick. It was his first time breaking corn, so he had no skill at all. Hao Ming showed him how to do it, but Hao Chun didn't pay attention. When catching chickens, although he was very scared, the father-son relationship between the two had clearly become more harmonious. The grandmother deliberately gave a difficult task, which was to give the two father and son a lot of corn. After doing a lot of farm work, Hao Chun finally felt hungry and ate very well. As for the company, Uncle Chu felt that although he had removed the two Shuns from their positions, their influence in the company was still very great. Because of Lin Tao's matter, Xiao Lin kept avoiding Yiming, but in the end he caught her. Lin Tao heard the news and came to the hospital to pick up Xiao Lin, even saying straight that he and Xiao Lin were dating. Ming didn't believe it, and Xiao Lin was forced to admit it. Seeing Xiao Lin return the ring to him, Ming was very heartbroken. Hao Chun was happy in his heart when he saw his grandmother teaching him some small tricks and giving him the task of cooking 3 meals a day. To prevent Zhuo Mian from worrying, Xiao Lin took on everything alone. Ming felt that Xiao Lin must be hiding something from him, but she still refused to say. When she saw her father come to visit, Zhuo Mian didn't feel uncomfortable. Seeing her father return the money from before and saying that if she needed help, just find him, Zhuo Mian sincerely wanted to thank him. Hao Ming discovered Zhuo Mian's notebook and knew that after the day they got divorced, she hadn't written anything anymore. When he heard Hao Chun was willing to talk to him, Hao Ming almost couldn't believe his ears and even thought that he had misheard. But when he met his grandmother, he happily told her that his son had spoken to him. Hao Ming told Zhuo Mian that his grandmother's method was indeed very effective. When she heard Hao Ming say such cheesy confessions to her, Zhuo Mian couldn't believe that a dry person like him could say such words. Hao Ming didn't hide anything. He said that he had seen that photo album. But the end of the album was the day they got divorced, so he wanted to take a photo himself to keep forever, proving that they were very happy. Zhuo Mian and Hao Ming felt that life in the countryside was very comfortable. Meanwhile, Uncle Chu declared that he had just taken office, so he had to create great achievements to dispel the rumors. On this side, Hao Chun kept digging in the dirt. Hao Ming wanted to give him water to drink, but he didn't pay attention to him. Hao Chun confided to Zhuo Mian that he didn't want to talk to older brother. He didn't understand why he was clearly his father, but he refused to admit it, making their relationship extremely awkward, not knowing what to say to each other. Zhuo Mian explained that everyone in the family loved Hao Chun very much and hoped he would understand that everyone made mistakes sometimes, but love was never wrong, so use your heart to feel. That night, Hao Chun woke up wanting to drink water, but there wasn't any, so he went to find the grocery store himself to buy some. Hao Ming woke up and didn't see his son, and the door was wide open, so he was very worried. When he saw Hao Ming come to find him, Hao Chun deliberately hid, but unexpectedly got lost. When he found Hao Chun, Hao Ming's mouth said scolding words, but his actions were very genuine. He took off his jacket for his son, and seeing that the boy was wearing slippers, he carried him home on his back. Hao Chun fell asleep on Hao Ming's back, and the relationship between the two seemed to have softened somewhat. Zhuo Mian reported to her grandmother that Hao Chun's situation was a little better, but because Hao Ming's father was still in the hospital needing someone to take care of him, they had to quickly go back. Zhuo Mian knew that her grandmother was reluctant to leave them, but she didn't say it. She hugged her tightly, wanted her to go with her, but she was rejected. When Zhuo Mian returned to the company, Xiao Lin told her that Lin Tao had pretended to work hard before just to make them lose their guard, then secretly embezzled assets and changed the company's data. The purpose was to push the company into a dead end and use that to threaten Xiao Lin. Zhuo Mian thought that Lin Tao could forge a large amount of books in such a short time, and there was someone helping him. There must be a problem. The audit process was very complex, so there were likely to be errors, which was the loophole for them to counterattack. Ming knew that Xiao Lin had to bear a lot of pressure alone recently and was hiding it from him, and he felt very heartbroken in his heart. Zhuo Mian pretended not to know about Lin Tao threatening Xiao Lin and even gave him more tasks. Lin Tao was a little stunned but still followed the company's arrangements. However, he still threatened, demanding that Xiao Lin quickly return to him. Lin Tao even intended to propose to Xiao Lin. Xiao Lin led Ming to meet Lin Tao, exposed his true face, and then left with Ming. On the side of the big company, General Manager Chu was stunned when he heard the board of directors hand him a commitment with very strict terms, requiring him to complete it during the probationary period. However, to maintain this position, he still accepted. Hao Ming wasn't worried about the company's turmoil. He was confident that he had a firm grip on victory this time. General Huang actually valued Hao Ming very much and had planned with him to overthrow General Manager Chu. When talking with General Huang, General Manager Chu seemed very complacent, boasting that he had kicked the two Shuns out of the game, and now he was the legal representative, the head of the company. General Huang was happy to see Hao Ming running with him, but said that he hoped he could run the remaining half of the journey himself. Hao Ming was a little surprised, but didn't say anything. Everyone in the company was confused, thinking that this time General Huang had rejected them, so there was definitely no chance to reverse the situation anymore. But Hao Ming still didn't give up. He believed that they still had a chance. Wei Ping was transferred by General Manager Chu to a distant business trip. The main purpose was to sacrifice the pawn to save the chariot. Mr. Steven was pulling the strings from behind, trying to divide their relationship. Wei Ping indeed misunderstood his adopted father, thinking that he was crossing the river and burning the bridge. General Manager Chu went to find Hao Ming, wanted to negotiate so that he could sit firmly in this position. Hao Ming knew clearly what this old fox was planning. At the bidding, General Huang suddenly changed sides, handing all his documents to Hao Ming and at the same time accusing General Manager Chu of destroying the rules of fair competition. General Manager Chu could only look at Hao Ming and then dejectedly leave in defeat. Hao Ming was very happy to see his father wake up. In fact, he had woken up when Uncle Chu came to visit, but he pretended to be comatose to make the opponent lower their guard. Hao Ming praised his father for acting too well, but also felt guilty for letting his father stay in the hospital for a while. Father Shin felt that being able to help his son was the best thing, and he was very happy to see his son grow up so quickly. When General Huang discussed cooperation with General Manager Chu, he put forward a few conditions. General Manager Chu, though seeing that General Huang was very greedy, was confident that he had a card to make this person obey, so he lowered his guard. General Huang was an experienced person. He clearly understood that the higher you go, the colder it gets, and just by looking he could tell who was sincere and who was fake. Although Hao Ming had intended to use him before, he was also very frank, so he decided to help Hao Ming. Fang Lei brought the DNA test results of Hao Chun and told Hao Ming that Hao Chun was not his biological son at all. Her older sister had accidentally had a child with someone else after drinking alcohol at a bar that year, and had no choice but to blame it on Hao Ming. At that time, Fang Lei still thought that Hao Chun was the link between her and Hao Ming, so she secretly swapped the birth certificate hoping that the two could come together. Unexpectedly, that action backfired, causing the current situation, making her very regretful. Fang Lei kept apologizing for her wrong actions, but everything had happened. It was all too late. Zhuo Mian felt that Hao Chun was the most innocent, but was deeply hurt by these evil people. Fang Lei kept apologizing, but had no credibility anymore. She went to find Wei Ping, feeling that he was a bad person, and she wasn't a good person either. So to prevent this bad person from continuing to harm society, she might as well subdue him. So the two decided to go abroad to live. Zhuo Mian's Yan Yifang store was becoming more and more prosperous. The scale was expanding and was loved by everyone thanks to the designs with innovative Chinese style. Hao Ming also tried his best to join the board of directors, diligently developing his career. The two were working together towards an increasingly better future. Hao Ming told Zhuo Mian that his application to join the board of directors was rejected again, making him feel very unconfident. Zhuo Mian used her own entrepreneurial experience to encourage her husband, saying that some things not only need opportunity, but more importantly, effort. Hao Ming and Zhuo Mian were preparing for a creative project combining culture together. Zhuo Mian wanted to create a project that could give people a sense of belonging while incorporating traditional cultural elements. This plan of Hao Ming and his wife received the approval of the board of directors. They thought that this was a very promising direction for development. Hao Ming's efforts were finally recognized by the board of directors. All members agreed to let little General Shun join the board of directors with an absolute vote. Father Shin also hoped that his son could lead everyone to a new and glorious chapter. Grandmother finally got to meet her granddaughter. Seeing that Hao Ming had become so much better now, she was also willing to come and live with them. Zhuo Mian wanted to keep her for a longer time, but she felt that although the big city was prosperous, she still cherished the small courtyard in her hometown and wanted to go back. Hao Ming used the camera to take a group photo for all three. The whole family gathered together, very happy and warm. The feelings between Zhuo Mian and her husband were also getting better and better. Hearing that her father had shown some remorse, and even sold the store to take care of her grandmother, in her heart and on her face, she had accepted her parents. Lin Tao once again left this city, returning to the small town that belonged to him. Xiao Lin and Yiming finally happily came together. The family of Zhuo Mian and Hao Ming was complete. Their careers also achieved long-term cooperation, together stepping into a new beginning. The movie ends here. Thank you for watching. If you think it's good, please give me a like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press the bell to wait for the latest movies.